I'll bring you down. We're back.
And we're still black.
Let's do it.
Uh-huh. Yes, you are. Yep. Yes, you are. Mm-hmm.
And we're back. And we're still black.
And you're still weird.
And it doesn't wash off like they said it would. Let's do it.
No. Nope.
Being black and Irish is a curse, you know.
Or it could be a blessing.
You know.
Hey, what up, D? That's a
D.
surprise to see you in here.
You talking about Dick Dietrich?
Yes.
Mr. Mayfield.
Sir.
Mr. Mayfield's in the house all the way from Vegas.
How is it in Vegas right now? How's the weather?
It's probably better than here.
Well, no, Vegas gets pretty dang cold too.
We're back and we're black and we're colored. We're brothers.
All right, can we just get started, please? And do your.
Although my mother looks white and transparent, it's
Okay,
right.
I'm just gonna.
Because
Black toes
I'm
on
just
black
gonna
feet.
bring Recon in. Maybe he'll.
Because you have black toes on black feet.
Recon, help me out.
Or is
here,
it
man.
white toes on black feet?
It's black toes on white feet.
Okay, I'm just gonna mute you. No, nothing. No. Behave.
Getting muted by the wifey.
We have guests in the
Okay.
house.
Today we have Reconsiderate Music Sketchpad.
Oh, Archie. Oh, Recon. Edith. Oh, Recon, did you know you were looping things without looping things? Oh, Archie, I think he's using the 505. He's using the Mark 1 and the Mark 2.
I'm surprised Recon's like, yeah, I'll do the interview.
He just went and got a hydrosynth, he did, and a fresh haircut. Should have beat it.
I wonder
he was
if
always gonna get a hydrosynth.
I wonder if Recon thinking to himself, yeah, I probably should have said no on the interview.
I think they call Recon a wigger. He's a white.
Ah! I'm gonna. Okay, bye. Okay, hey, Recon. Hi, Recon.
Hello.
Hi. I muted them so you and I can have a conversation now.
That's good.
You know.
It's only because he raps. They think that he did that.
Why are white people doing hip hop now, Archie?
Because it's a new thing there, Edith.
Why are white people looping sounds with their mouths, Archie?
It's a bold,
Okay, let's
diverse
get
world out there.
serious. We only have a certain amount of
Okay.
time.
Sorry.
Come on. Didn't you
Sorry.
just complain that 3 hours wasn't enough?
It's not.
Let's go.
Kind of got carried away.
We did.
God damn it.
I'm sorry, Recon. But I don't know. Whenever you get on the show, you bring it out of us.
I'm getting that shot collar.
Yeah.
I have fresh batteries.
Ricola. Okay, today we have Reconsiderate Music Sketchpad. You're going to love it here today. It's going to be so good. You're going to want to get your drinks
Get
out.
it
You're gonna wanna
together, man.
I'm mimicking what Recon
It
does.
does. This is his staple.
Look at Rabbits in the comment. He's already saying clink.
We're gonna cheers on a one. This is gonna be the best live stream you ever seen. And 2 and 3.
I'm sure.
Cheers, my
hold on,
friend.
let me-
Cheers, my
I got
friend.
my water. I don't know what you have.
Cheers. What do you got to drink, Recon?
I got some water, of course.
See,
Look at it. Go up.
see that?
There you go. See? Yeah. Bet you wish you probably had something a little bit stronger today, huh?
Yeah, that you did. There's a
We
God
these two
somewhere.
monkey ass
Yeah.
clowns.
Oh man, yeah. If you guys aren't on YouTube checking out Reconsiderate Music Sketchpad, the guy puts in the effort. He puts in the time. He's putting in hard work.
And he has a brand new toy.
And he has a brand new toy. And I remember when I got my hydrosynth for the first time, I was lost as to what do I do with it. And once I started surfing the infowebs and spending hours upon hours pressing buttons, turning knobs, I realized it was the machine of the gods.
Isn't it cool though to have a brand new machine and when you're learning it, just to go and push buttons, turn knobs, and see what things do. And if it doesn't do what you want it to do, just reset it.
And do it all over again.
Shut it off and
Just
turn it back on.
Explore. I'm sure that's the same way you were when you got the 505, no?
Yeah. Of course, I spent however long trying to figure out the 505s and pretty comfortable with them now. So it's good to have another thing to say, what does this button do? I don't know. What am I?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, looking at you from afar on this here YouTube, one would say you are well versed, more than well versed, maybe a PhD in 505ology.
Dr. 505.
Dr.
It's
505.
There you go.
Is there anything about the 505 you haven't explored and you want to explore?
Oh, there's lots of stuff in the 505 that I haven't even touched.
Oh,
First
really?
The first thing that comes to my mind is the ability to collapse tracks. So I could do like, you don't have a camera here, but like of my 5 tracks, I could do, hey, let me do these 5 layers and then just collapse them down into one track. So now I have 4 tracks again. So
yeah.
There's a lot of other.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Right.
so you want to consolidate and diversify your portfolio.
Maybe
There's also, you could also program like many of these buttons to do custom things. I've never explored that.
Oh, wow. Uncle Chrome wants to know what's the new toy. I believe it's the Hydra.
It's the Hydra
right?
Synth. Is it the Explorer?
Yeah, it's the mini, it's the Explorer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you had that?
I've had that for almost exactly 2 weeks. I got it last or 2 Mondays ago or 2 Tuesdays ago.
Nice.
It's a baby.
Yeah. What made you choose to Explorer?
Well, Viral was selling it, so I was like,
oh,
oh,
well,
there
shit.
you go.
There you go.
You know what? I didn't even know that, but I was thinking to myself, did Viral probably sell this to Recon? Because I know he was
I
trying to sell
remember
it.
he said he was going to sell
Sell
it.
it,
Yeah. And he
yeah.
even put 2 and 2 together. I was
did,
like,
but I didn't say
oh,
anything.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's dope.
The power of Discord.
Oh, our community is beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
So what did you purchase it for, if you don't mind us asking?
what did I purchase for, like dollar wise?
Or
What did I purchase for purpose wise?
both? Shit, give us both.
Well, I'll say that Viral was very generous and sold it to me for less than sticker price. Like if I were to have bought this at some local
Right.
vendor, I would have paid
Right.
double what I paid for it.
Yeah. Nice. Say no more
Nice.
about that. So purpose wise.
Purpose wise, I just wanted to add in something new. I always feel there's something like when I build my beats on my loopers, they make a nice soundscape, but they don't always. Sometimes they have a foreground like solos and things, but not always. The synth allows me to do more in the foreground. It also allows me to play, with my hands rather than just my voice, which gives me more. If I'm using just my voice on the loopers, I kind of just, it's easy to fall into the same track of just doing, oh yeah, I'm comfortable with this. But when I'm using the keyboard, I can say, I don't know what, G sharp is. Let me play with that. Whoa.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh.
This is going to take you into a new world, my friend.
Yeah.
It's just going to complement and add more variations and give you a lot more material and room to explore different avenues. I think it's a perfect addition to your set, sir.
Yeah, I think you're gonna love it. Most times when I watch you with it, I go, I say to the wife, why isn't he letting that thing ARP right now? And then I thought about it.
It's a baby still.
It's a baby step he has to take still. Maybe he's not there yet.
Also, with respect to ARPing, I would need to MIDI sync that to get a good.
Oh, you're not MIDI'd in.
No, I am, but as I got ready for this interview right now, I powered everything on, and I was having MIDI issues with the loopers. I took out the MIDI connection to the Hydra synth, and it seems to have resolved itself. So I'm not sure. I don't know if there's some kind of MIDI chain thing. That's
Yeah,
what I need to figure out, I guess.
I would probably make the Hydra synth the master then if it's having an issue following the 505. That's probably what I would do.
And Kent's in the chat too, and he said anything ASM gets my vote.
Maybe make the ASM the master and have it.
Logistically, I won't be able to do that because my percussion when I beatbox, that's what sets the tempo.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Maybe someone out there in the Discord or
In the chat right
in the
now,
chat
right?
can
Yeah.
help him
Yeah,
out
knows the
with
solution.
his MIDI sync there.
We have Monkey Brains in there.
Monkey
so,
Brains is in the house.
Yeah.
He might be able to.
Because I have a quadra through and I have a MIDI solution, so maybe that might be an option too. Very interesting.
So let's
get to the interview here.
Yes.
Yeah. As I do the intro, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Yes, welcome.
And today we have Reconsider
Sketchpad.
Music
Recon.
Sketchpad.
Recon.
Reconsider. Sketchpad.
I
I love that. Okay.
That was kind of creepy. I didn't know where it was going, but I was kind of
I
falling
was
into
just going
it.
with it. I don't know.
Yeah. I love that you do these loops. You are the loop master. Okay. You know the deal. You know the draw. You know what we're going to ask. You know how we start this podcast. Give us the rundown on baby Recon. What was 2-year-old Recon
Was baby
like?
Recon doing? Wait.
He's like, wait a minute, I got something here. Hold on here, Ma.
What was baby Recon up to?
Yeah, I was definitely in the crib at 6 weeks old. I was doing the beatboxing and everything.
Yeah. That's what I figured.
That's what I thought.
We need video.
You didn't surprise us there. But what's your earliest memory of your childhood?
Earliest memory period or earliest
Period.
Period. My earliest memory period is I think it was a time that I was at a birthday party of a cousin of mine when he was turning 4 and I was still 3.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Within a
3
year.
is young.
Yeah. I remember being on some kind of very, very, very tame, what do you call, what am I trying to say here? Roller coaster. Just like a very small loop that was going slow. So it's like a little kid roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I remember having the following thought. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone on the planet Earth has ever heard this out loud before. Here it comes. I remember thinking, I wonder what it's like to be a big boy and be 4.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
At the age of 3, you remember being 3?
That's young.
That's wild to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, well, not too wild because I remember when we had our dad cowboy boots on and got Fruit Loops all over the floor. And per our mother, we were no more than 2 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. And you remember
Yeah, I
that?
remember that.
I remember it
too.
vividly clear.
I do remember that.
I think my first memory is 5. It was when my mom married my stepfather, and we were moving into the brand new house that they bought together.
Oh, that's a big memory, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
big memory.
But that's my first
Yeah.
memory period as
But that's
a
something big.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I remember it is because when I walked in, I looked up and the ceiling looked like it just went on forever. It was
Yeah.
so tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
At 3, that's
What
young.
was life like at that age? What were you going through? Like, what were some of the things you remember, and what was the household like? What was the music being played? What was mom and dad like?
Oh man, there's so much. Like I'm not even sure where to begin with that.
Consolidated.
If we're saying like what was just the normal day to day like in the household,
Mm-hmm.
I would say it was pretty. If you were to have set up a camera and be like, look at this household, you would have said, this is a pretty ordinary, maybe like middle-ish class American household without really, I guess I can say I'm very grateful and I'm blessed in that I never had to worry about things like, would there be a roof over my head? Am I going to have breakfast in the morning? I'm fortunate. I never had to worry about those kinds of things. So that's my short version of what the household was like.
Yeah. What was the music like growing up? Was it a diverse music campaign being pushed forward in the house? Did something interest you when you were super young and mom is cleaning the house and she's playing something on the radio, or dad?
Yeah, most of the music was probably like just what's on the radio. So think like, I was born in 1980, so 80s. What's happening in the 80s? You got like, what is that Toto song that everybody knows? What is it? Africa? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't.
Or any
That's before you go.
Yeah, it might get copyright on that too.
Yeah, Steve said Africa.
anything else along those lines. Just what was sort of pop culture that was happening on the radio. My mother and father also did have other music they listened to. Like, for example, my father was into, I remember Elton John was one of his big artists he liked a lot. He used to listen to that. He would also listen to country music. Now, I don't recall any specific artists that I can cite. He also was big into talk radio, so he would also be listening to talk radio. Like if we drove somewhere, that might be what's on the stereo in the car.
Do you have any siblings?
I have 2 siblings. I have 2 older sisters. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Are they musically gifted like you? Do they do anything music wise?
I have no awareness at any point of either of them doing anything musical.
Oh, wow.
Are you close to them, or like what was it like growing up with 2 sisters?
One of them is just sort of 10 years older than I am. So a lot of the time she was out of the house by the time I was, really gaining my bearings and understand, like, oh, I'm a being and I exist in the world. She was already, in college or whatever. So my elder sister, I don't have a very close connection with. My other sister was almost immediately or almost exactly between us. So she's about 5 years older than I am. And that middle sister, she was also significantly older than I was, didn't really interact with her that much, but she did introduce me to some music. Like, for example, she was the one who introduced me to Cypress Hill, which was my first favorite rap thing.
No, it's one of my favorite groups.
Yeah.
She had the Red album, and we just listened to that tape, and I was like, "This is the dopest thing ever!" And then,
Yeah.
Did you ever get into fights with your sister?
I wouldn't say anything too contentious, but I'm sure there were some arguments here and there about whatever. Oh, you didn't, I don't know, put your toothbrush away, or little things like that. But I don't recall any kind of serious conflicts of any sort. No.
Yeah.
Right. It seems like you had this pretty stable, like you said. This is you had a pretty stable childhood. You never really got it. Have you ever got into shit? You ever fight a kid at school and take his lunch money?
No, I was never that. I am more of the sinkhole of who needs to be bullied. I'm more the recipient.
You're saying you're a bully's candidate.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we're gonna go bully him. So do you think your sister introducing you to Cypress Hill, do you think that's what kind of molded you to the music genre that you're in now?
I wouldn't say that was like the defining moment. Probably a more defining moment for me getting into rap was a few years later when I started, exploring a whole bunch of different artists. And I was like, Cypress Hill, but also another one that I listened to a lot in high school was House of Pain. But
Oh yeah.
DOS Effects, things like that. But Karis one was, I think, the one who made me really start taking things seriously.
Oh, hell
God,
yeah.
Nice.
Recon,
He would do it to you.
you son of a bitch. You would pick the godfather of godfathers. I mean, there's really no one at KRS's one level.
Right. Well, even today, he
Even
still
today, he's still a
holds his
beast.
own ground.
Right. Yeah.
So what were your friends like growing up? Who did you decide to hang around with and get some impressions from? What was that like? Did you have a diverse crowd, or?
I don't know that I put much thought into that. In general, for all my life, including to this very instant, as I sit here talking to you, I don't have a lot of conscious bandwidth in my awareness for things like relationships and networking and choosing who to be friends with or anything like that. It just sort of, I'm just kind of blind to it. And instead, I just talk to whoever's in front of my face. That's kind of the full extent of my social strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a significant other?
No, I do not.
Yeah. So, do your sisters support what you do on YouTube?
Most likely not. They probably don't even know it exists.
Oh, wow.
Shit.
So I don't know if we're going to go too deep there, but do you have a relationship with them currently to this day that of like a meaningful relationship, or is it just kind of like as needed?
No, I haven't spoken to any blood relative in almost 20 years.
Oh,
You know what? Now that you said that, I remember when we were talking about family, you did
And
say,
my mom and stuff.
right,
And,
it had
and
been
Uncle
20 years.
Jerry's world.
Yeah.
Are your parents still with us, or have they passed?
Both still alive, to my knowledge.
Got it.
to your
Oh,
knowledge.
wow. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. But what do you think what was the separation point? What was the catalyst to have all of this disconnect?
Yeah, that was me trying to talk about things with them, with specifically my parent, and having that never go well. Like not that once in a while there was a disagreement, once in a while there was an argument. It never ever even once ever went well. It always wound up being that, I'm being too difficult, I'm being this or that pejorative, I'm being blah blah negative, blah blah blah. It was not a place where I had any opportunity to be heard, to be taken seriously, to be supported.
Or be you, period.
Oh, that's true also. Yeah, I always had to, act right, and if not, then consequence. So
this was going on when you were a kid
or teenager.
Yeah, this is my whole life. So it started to become more of a problem. I started to want to seriously talk about things when I was roughly teens. Is when I started to be like, okay, like I really need to have some kind of autonomy here.
Yeah.
And it never went well. And then after over 10 years of saying that, of just being like, listen, this is not okay. Hey, listen, you like, I don't know why you don't want to ever talk to me. After that, for 10 years, I was like, this is not adding anything to my life. This is only weighing me down and causing problems for me. So bye.
Yeah, you got to take care of yourself at the end of the day. It sounds a lot like the relationship I had with my mom. Like whenever I would like try to go and have a conversation or resolve an issue or anything like that, it was always brushed to the side, or you don't know what you're talking about,
or you couldn't even get far enough in the conversation to even figure out what's wrong.
Instantly shut down. It was my issue, not theirs. So like you deal with it type of scenario.
So what was the earlier with this relationship with your folks, did that force you into wanting to get a job quickly and get out of the household?
It definitely forced me to want to get out of the house quickly.
Right. Yeah.
But again, I can say that I'm very fortunate in that as I said earlier, I never had to worry about things like, am I going to have food the next day? So I am very blessed in that I did not have to worry about like frantically at age 12 trying to what do they call it? Is it emancipate yourself?
Right.
Yes.
I never had to do that. So that's I've known plenty of people who did have to do that. But I didn't. So
and this was in what state was your teenage years? Where were you living at the time?
That was a split between New York and Connecticut.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. East Coast boy. Okay.
Where are you now?
Hence KRS and DOS effects.
Yeah.
Are you still on the East Coast?
I am not. I am in the Midwest at this time.
Oh,
nice.
okay. So you're right along with us then. Okay. So can you remember your first job and separating yourself from the household and going, yeah, this is what I need to do with my life?
Well, there's my first job, but then there's the job that allowed me to move out. Which of those are you asking about?
Both. Let's go with both. Whatever you.
This is all about getting to know.
It's all about getting to
family.
know Recon
and to us, your family. So I want to know about my brother.
Yeah, let's go, Sorian.
With the first job ever, that was at a retail store in the mall. So that was a children's outdoor clothing store.
Nice.
If you're familiar with stores like EMS or REI, I don't know which one they might have.
Yeah, REI. Yeah,
it was like that for 5-year-olds. That was the store that I worked, and I was hired to be the stock person. So I just wanted to be like, hey, you leave me alone. I'm gonna go stock some shelves. That was my job. But then they eventually moved me out on the floor, and I had to do the cash register and make sales and things. So that was my first job ever.
Jeez, and
how long were you there at that job?
That job was while I was still in high school, so that was.
So it was like a summer job or something?
No, yes, it was a summer job, but it was also while I was in high school. I would go work at night or work on the weekend.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was probably for I don't know, 2 or 3 years or something.
Recon isn't afraid to work.
No, no.
At it.
So
Well,
what
he had motivation.
right. So what was the job that you said, okay, I can live on my own and start to go and be my own man? What was that looking like?
Yeah, that wasn't until I was in my 20s.
Okay.
And, some of this I'll obscure.
Okay.
But essentially a software trainer and a lot of other things that came along the way. But that was my first like salaried, here's health insurance type of job. That was when I was 25. I was about to turn 26, so like 25 plus.
Nice. And at that point, I'm sure you felt like well established, like, okay, I can do this. I got my bearings. Now it's time to live and get into some of my interests.
Yeah, at that point, I basically like floored the gas and got out of there. And then, I mean, I was already doing music. So me doing music, for example, didn't start only after I left. That was back in actually, music started when I was 8. I was in the percussion section of the grade school band. But that's another topic. I lost track of what we're focused on right now.
Yeah, we're just focusing on the earlier teenage, early 20 years of your life and the separation of your family and moving forward from there in a kind of like a chronological order.
But that's one missing element that I didn't know that you were in band at what? You said not elementary, but like, what was it? Junior high, elementary?
8 years old in 3rd grade.
Okay.
Oh, what instrument did you play?
Percussion.
Gotcha.
Oh, that makes sense. Can you still play percussions?
I do over there on the other side of the room. I do have some drumsticks and a pad, and I mean, my technique is not very good, but I can keep a rhythm with drumsticks. I can read sheet music.
Nice.
Yes, sort of, I guess, even though I never do that. I just do this stuff nowadays.
Oh, that's interesting.
Recon, you were a big old onion, ain't you, boy?
Yeah, you're just waiting to peel back your
ass back.
It don't feel like you have to keep track, like, on the questions. Like, if you veer off, veer off. Like, this is,
you on Monkey Island, baby.
Yeah, this is all about you, and there, we go as it flows.
There are no roads on Monkey Island.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're
Uncle Chrome's asking marching band.
I technically did try to participate in a marching band very briefly. It was only maybe a couple weeks. I stopped that very quickly.
Well, why is that? You said that like
yeah, why?
Was it embarrassing? Was it what went on?
No, I wasn't embarrassing, but it was I felt it was maybe just a bit much for me to keep track of with literally marching while
walking and playing. That that
sync with the other people and everything.
Yeah, that's insane. Those marching band, like, I give props to them, because sometimes I can barely walk without getting injured, and you're playing with
it takes some coordination,
huge amounts of people. Yeah, that's insane. Like, your brain function.
The body has to do things. Your mind has to be on keeping the rhythm.
Those kids at LSU University dance, flip, and do all kind of other shit when they're
it's insane.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely something different. So you've had jobs that you were fortunate enough to take to separate you from the household that I would guess in many ways was causing you some kind of a mental challenge. What during the separation from your family and no one really staying in contact, has there been any attempt to settle down and kind of think about what Recon needs for, like, maybe you wanted to start a family or something? Has that been a thought in your mind?
Certainly, I've thought about things like building my own home. That seems like a decent thing to prioritize. And I don't mean building a house. I mean like the household.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So certainly that has been a thing on my mind. But similar to how I said earlier that I don't have any or virtually no time that I spend in my thought processes where I'm thinking about relationships and building this relationship and knowing who to do whatever with. I'm just blind to all of that. Similarly, I don't really know how to make a family. I don't know who's the right kind of person to do that with. So I've had a lot of trial and error in that regard, and a lot of failure.
Haven't we all?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Recon.
You think it's a point in that regard where you're trying to maybe express yourself, or you don't know how, or you're trying to understand the other doesn't understand you? Is it rough that way, you think?
Well, certainly, yeah. I mean, as any maybe psychologist would say, it's like your initial years are just a petri dish for what happens later. So I continue to this day. I continue to have all sorts of problems in all my relationships, whether they're close relationships or not, if they're romantic relationships or not, if it's a work relationship or not, just someone at the grocery store that I pass on the way to the checkout counter. Just like all of my relationships are fraught with, I don't get heard or understood. And when I try to talk more, I just get accused of things. That's basically how every conversation goes all the time, every day.
Right. But a lot of that, and I'm going to reflect on my brothers in Maryland's on how they met. You know, you can kind of staple what you want on, like, is it eHarmony? Like some of these,
yes.
So you can actually kind of put yourself out there and give a little bit more context to who you are, your passions, and what you're looking for, to kind of find someone that most resembles your lifestyle. Do you think it's just because it's the random dating that is kind of gone astray, or have you even tried online dating?
Yeah, I've certainly tried online dating, and that's where most of the failures came in.
Oh shit!
So that means somebody wasn't being honest on their
and that's what I'm thinking, which is a good thing, because that's a process of elimination. So I mean, have you told yourself, like, are you giving up, or are you just taking some time on the sideline to let things pass? What's that looking like?
Oh, I totally give up. Like there's no.
Recon said, "Fuck it,
I'm done."
Yeah.
There's no. I'm not going to keep wasting my time trying to argue with people about whether I deserve basic respect. That's
it's kind of a really good thing that Recon has given up on trying, because that's usually when things actually do happen.
Right. The universe always brings you somewhere.
When you stop putting effort towards something so hard and let it just come naturally, things tend to happen that way.
Out of the blue will just pop up.
Yeah.
The universe is very funny.
Yeah,
that
maybe, you know, I would think it works for most people's lives. The harder you try to search for something that you want, is you're going to run a huge risk of landing somewhere you don't need to be. Sometimes, and I think majority of the time, if you let it happen organically, I think life tends to be in your favor. You know. But that's not to say we know how you're approaching it.
Yeah.
You're right. That's something that I was just literally earlier today, I was talking about this to myself and my thought processes. But also recently, that is a major theme that I've discovered in my life, of when I'm responding to a demand, when I'm responding to a need, that all goes really well. But when I set out with some ambition of mine, and I want to do this, and I think this should be, that's when everything just doesn't, maybe it works for a little while, but then it just crashes and burns and falls apart.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand that, because people that seek out ayahuasca through a shaman or wherever they go to get it, the shaman always tells them, this is not what you want. Ayahuasca is going to give you what you need. And I think a lot of people suffer from I, me, I want, I. And sometimes it's just not about I. Sometimes it's like you just said, you have to just be patient and just let life just work for you.
A Crazy Rabbit said something that I was going to say. So we're thinking on the same playing field here. Crazy Rabbit says, you always have you and love you. Nothing wrong with flying solo. Much respect, Recon. And I was going to just say, like, I have immense amount of respect for Recon, because one, he didn't settle.
He didn't settle.
And two, he didn't settle just because not to be alone.
Right.
Like, if you can be alone and love yourself and respect yourself and stuff like that, then the person who deserves that deserves how much you love yourself and respect yourself is going to come.
And they're going to be there for you.
And not a whole lot of people.
Because they can see you're together.
Yeah, not a whole lot of people do that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So kudos to you, man, on that.
Yeah. So I guess we kind of touched on some synchronicity you were already thinking about. But I mean, are you at the same time, are you honest with yourself? Like, do you expect too much from people and not letting them be themselves, and you too can be a hindrance in the situation?
Certainly, I have a role to play in all of this. So do I expect too much of people? I have actually been told that other people have said, you expect too much. I don't interpret it like that, though. I don't think I expect too much. What I expect are different things from what most people expect. So the way that I usually talk about this is like, I have different needs and different, I don't know, desires, different, you could say expectations, but they're different. They're not more. And that's how most people tend to interpret it. Like when I talk to them about something, they're like, oh, you're making all these additional demands. I'm like, actually, no. Most of this stuff that you're doing that you think is relationship building, I don't need any of that. And I'm just tolerating you doing it because you seem to have some compulsive need to do it. But I'm not asking you to do that. So you shouldn't take those things and chalk it up as though you're building a relationship with me through those things. That's just you being obsessed with what you do. Now here I can clearly articulate what I need. And then the people say like, oh, this is so ridiculous. You need these additional things. I'm like, you can have those other things I didn't ask you for. That would be okay. But people don't operate like that. Most people just operate in a world where they have the things they expect and they meet enough people who also agree with those expectations that they just keep living in their little limited circle of expectations. And then I come along and I'm like, hello, I'm nothing like what you expect at all. And they're like, you're so difficult. Why are you so awful and bad? Like that's all I ever deal with.
It's a world of compromise when it comes to a relationship. You're never going to find the exact right one for you. But I always say it's a great, when people are willing to have a compromise between the relationship is when it works, and listening to each other. Like, I think that's a big key too. Let the other be the other and try to salvage what you can of you and what they can of them, and just compromise. And don't strip anyone else's way of life or ideals. I don't know. It's a finicky situation, and at the end of the day, I see your point. It's hard to find someone to relate with when you think that you don't fit the stigma of the norm.
Yeah.
It's also that I do accommodate them. And so it becomes very exhausting for me to constantly do all the bending and accommodating. And then when I say, by the way, sir, may I please have some gruel in my dirty bowl? And be told that I'm asking for so much when it's the thing I asked for.
How dare you ask for
when
that?
it's probably just the simplest thing. And
go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
How many situations have you been in throughout your life where you had to conform just to be in a conversation with a group of people, or feel normal at a party, or on an outing, where you're just like, I'm tired of constantly giving up who I really am. I'm tired of conforming, myself around people. It's now time to just be Recon.
Are you asking how often am I able to be candid, or how often do I have to not be candid?
Well, shit.
Both.
It sounds like you have both scenarios open.
Yeah.
As far as I saw Wabbit said we need to do a cheers too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Recon. Go ahead, Recon.
Go ahead, do it.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna cheers now.
Let's do it.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, we're gonna do this, friends. I'm gonna count up to 3. Here it comes. Don't have my loopers playing. Grab your drink. We're doing it.
Get my drink.
I got my drink too.
It's good. You might have some water like I have. I don't know what you guys got. What do you
I got water.
Yeah,
I got to put it in the
I got
chat.
lemon water.
I got
That's
water.
good. We're going to do the express lane version of the cheers and not the 10 minutes long version that I do. Here comes our friends. I'm counting up 3. 1, 2, 3.
Cheers. Clink.
Oh, nice. That's good.
That was beautiful.
Thank you, General. The General's always on. Yep.
All right. We were talking about conforming or something earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as far as how often do I have to just hide myself and do this like infinite compromise with no reciprocation? That is like basically all day, every conversation, still to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And how often do I get to just candidly be myself?
Yeah.
I don't, like, virtually never. There may have been some rare cases in my youth where I was able to express myself, not because I was accepted, but because the people in my age group, also 8-year-olds, like just didn't know any better. So there's like a time in my youth where I was like able to run free, but then as I get more into my, I don't know, let's say the double digits, 10 and up, that's when it started to just be like, okay, you got to shut up. Oh, that's not okay. Oh, wait, hold on. And so by the time I get through, I don't know, end of high school or college or something, around there is just like, okay, I can never talk to anybody. And so that's 25 years ago.
So do you find it still to be hard to be yourself, or is it much easier now that you just kind of disassociated with people in itself?
I never have an issue being myself, like in a vacuum. I don't have any kind of barriers, which is weird because I know other people do feel that way sometimes, that they're not able to express myself or express themselves. I've never had that problem. I always feel very comfortable being myself, but when I'm around other people, I generally have to hide it, or else there'll be consequences for me.
Yeah.
Not the consequences.
Not the consequences.
Oh, no, Recon.
Like,
you mean other people's consequences?
Yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah.
You have something to say?
I just wanted, if you're keeping on this topic, go ahead and ask. I was going to veer and going back to the band and stuff like that I had.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So in school, you did percussions. When you were in high school, I'm curious, did you do any music stuff in high school?
Nothing official. When I was in the grade school band, that was until 8th grade. And then I stopped at the end of 8th grade. So as of high school, starting in 9th grade, I did not have any music making or music playing experiences at all, really. There were a couple random times here or there where I might have been at a friend's house who had a voice recorder, and I'd be like, oh, cool, and play with the voice recorder. Or I wrote some poetry or lyrics and things. But for high school, I didn't do any consistent music practice. By the time I started in college, I did start more intensely, like, oh, I need coping mechanisms. And I used to write a lot, including poetry, lyrics, but also journal type stuff. And at some point in, I don't know if it was my first year of college or my second year of college, I got a computer. Thankfully, this is my giving a shout out and honoring my parents. My parents did get me a computer to start doing music production. So I was playing around a bit in there. That was mostly Acid. I don't know if you remember that, if you ever had experience with that. Foundry Acid. I was mostly playing around with samples and things. I eventually got to the point after using Acid for a few years or I don't know if it was even a few years, but of just playing around with existing samples. Then I needed to make my own samples, and that's when I graduated to things like Propellerhead Reason, where I would make my own drum beats and synths and things. And then it went in many other directions from there.
Yeah.
So in college, you would say that's where like the beatboxing and the rapping kind of started.
Not the rapping, but beatboxing, yes. I mean, beatboxing back to grade school, but in more of a sense of like recording it. That was college level. And that was beatboxing. That was some lyrics. I started off by having a very poetry-oriented type of style that was not rap. And it certainly was not singing. But it was mostly just kind of spoken word, but in sync with the music. So not just, you sometimes you hear pure spoken word and music accompaniment, and they don't really sync up. Like my stuff used to sync up. Eventually, though, as of maybe like 2002, 2003, something vaguely around there is when I started to experiment with rap.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And so 2003 was a great year for real hip hop. And I know you understand what I, my brother and Marilyn are saying when we say real hip hop. Like we don't suffer the no fool for negative shit in our ear. We don't even consider it hip hop in many forms and ways. And it's embarrassing to be a hip hop fan when there's so much bullshit going around right now that's identifying as hip hop. In the year 2003, what was your hip hop crowd like? What was did you have an entourage? Were you a part of a group? I mean, what was it like? Was it diverse? Were you accepted? Did you go through any turmoil?
Yeah, that stuff didn't happen in 2003. That happened a little later, so I can talk about that.
Okay, let's go to that.
In 2003, just to address your question about what happened then, that was still just by myself. So that was like bedroom, musician type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I started going to poetry open mics, and that was in the 2002, I think. Yeah, 2000. No, it was 2001. I remember there was a specific open mic I went to. So 2001 was when I first went to any open mic type thing that I could get on stage. And just to complete that story, I went up there and I kind of half beatboxed 30 seconds of something and a couple lyrics randomly. It was all just on a mic. I didn't have any kind of synthesizer or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of uproarious applause. And I was like, oh, well, this should be something I do more of then.
Right.
And then I started going to more poetry open mics, which was all a cappella, and I was just doing my lyrics there. I got a lot of support from there, and I was playing around that Connecticut, New York area, like right at the spot where Connecticut and New York meet. I was performing at a lot of poetry open mics around there for, I don't know, probably like 4 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, I moved, and that was for my job that allowed me to leave the house. So that made me lose all the poetry contacts. And that's when I shifted into more bedroom stuff, but also open mics in my new area. Eventually, as of, I think it was 2011 or 2012, is when I had my first actual real music group that I was a part of in an ongoing basis, and it actually became something. Mm-hmm. And that was my group, Conscious Object. Conscious
nice.
Is me and a producer who I knew locally. I still know who he is. We just don't really talk as much anymore. But he was like a 9 Inch Nails type of person. And he would be doing his beats from that angle. So he wasn't coming from here's the, what's popular in hip hop nowadays. He was just doing his own thing. And he was, as I say, much more of an industrial type of thing. Mm-hmm. So he did those beats, and I was able to come on and do my more intense yelling at you raps. And he and I worked pretty well. We did 3 albums together. We started playing a lot of shows around town and, couple hour radius around town. So that was pretty good. And that's where I can start talking about who was in this scene or the group or anything like that.
And we've heard some of those songs, right, on Popcorn Night? You've sent some of the stuff, some of the videos?
Yeah, I sent, what is it called? Not Everyone. I sent that maybe a month ago for Popcorn Night.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite song from that group, Conscious Object.
Yeah, the video was amazing. That was a really cool video. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So were you going to stay on that topic?
I was just going to, I was going to ask you, what was your first rap song? What? How did you? I think I probably missed it, but how did you know? You're I'm gonna write my own rap song and I'm gonna debut it over a beat. When was that?
First rap? That was probably back in 2000, early 2000s. Was probably first rap. Ooh. But those were more I would just do a random, not even necessarily 16 bars. I would just do a verse. So the first time I rapped, it was still just in the span of let me explore my style and what is possible for me to do with vocals. Mm-hmm. So there was probably many, many years of doing rap and also this half spoken word type of style. It was probably many years before I did dedicated, I'm going to put a lot of energy into rap, and from now on, this is probably the only vocal style I'm going to do. That probably wasn't until Conscious Object. Conscious Object was the first time that I did a whole album with someone else and like formally produced it. It's like, I'm doing this rap stuff. It was probably that.
Yeah.
And did you love it? And you knew, did you instantly know that you were hooked and you were always going to do that?
I felt that way like way back when I first started making music. So that feeling is independent of rap or any other style. All the other details, like whether it's rap or where I'm using a synthesizer or loopers, those are just sort of incidental, and any of them can come and go.
Gotcha.
Like as of this instant, I don't know that I'm ever going to write another rap song again.
No, you are. We demand it.
Yeah. You will not fall off.
Yeah, no, you will. She demands it.
I love it. I'm a huge fan. So
what was the okay? So what was your entourage like? What was the diversity in the camp like? Were you ever uncomfortable? What was going on with you know? There's always been this thing with different ethnic backgrounds into hip hop and stigmas that follow through with it.
Yeah, I personally never had any issue with that, but I have observed, unfortunately, somewhat consistently, that there are some people who do have an issue with that.
Yeah,
and there are people who, like you mentioned a moment ago, the idea of like, oh, here's the real hip hop. There are some people who are like, they're gonna start a fight over that. Like there's like, this is the real hip hop. We gotta have the real hip hop. This is the real hip hop. And they'll like, you know, that's not a real MC. What did you get off the stage? Like they're doing this kind of stuff. It's like, I'm not interested in any of that, man. Like I'm not claiming hip hop culture, so you could keep it. I'm doing rap, you know, get out of my face.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
But you're doing a particular style of rap. You do know it's real hip hop. Now you know that, but looking back on it, it's not what we call trap rap or negative, you know, NWA or you know what I mean? Like the stuff you're doing is more of an activist movement. I like to think you're really.
That's why hip hop was invented.
Yeah, you're more of a descendant of like Rage Against the Machine, System of a Down, but you have like this alternative swing about it.
Yeah,
with your rap style. I mean, that's what it does for me.
It's full on conscious.
Yeah, it has a message.
You're aware of what you're saying. You're not degrading women. You're not.
You mean he's not rapping out of his ass?
Yeah,
right.
Materialistic.
You're not materialistic. You're not saying I need to wear this around my neck for status, and it's all about money and fuck the police and this and that. You know, when you do it, it is what I've always known hip hop to be. Right.
Yeah, I have two responses to that. I guess three. Well, the third one that just occurred to me now is thank you. Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's one of my responses. Another response is that is where my group's name Conscious Object came from. Is that my producer noticed that about my lyrics, and we were trying to brainstorm, you know, band names, however many, like 20 or 30 contenders we came up with. But we went with Conscious Object because he was using it as like a shortened form of conscientious objector. And came up with Conscious Object, and he said, oh, that really matches your style because you have the conscious lyrics. And I was like, okay, let's do that. So he's the one who named the group, not me. That's my second response. My third response is when I'm doing lyrics, you're right to say that it's very conscious, it's very intentional. I sit there and I write every syllable of every word. I don't like if I'm doing freestyle raps, which I'm still learning how to get comfortable with. That's just like, hey, look, a lamp, and the, you know, friggin' washcloth is damp, and like that kind of just getting into the flow, and I'm not paying attention to every word. I don't do that for written lyrics. For written lyrics, I'll spend 5 months making sure that the word "the" is in exactly the right spot.
Right.
And what I'm in my mind, what I'm going for, I'm not sitting there like, yes, I'm a conscious rap writer. Look at me, I'm a conscious. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing instead is I'm working through some kind of issue that I have in my life. And I start with like, all right, I'm having this problem with this person or this situation or this discipline or aspiration. I have some kind of problem that I'm trying to work through. And then through the lyrics, I start by expressing the problem, and I kind of work my way into having the intention to have a solution. And I eventually find my way to the solution all in the lyrics. And what I'm really doing, this is a secret, just keep this between us. Don't let anybody know.
Okay, we won't say a word.
What I'm really doing is I'm really making the lyrics for myself, because I know that I like to listen to songs and like listen to them over and over until I just have all the words in my head and I'm ready to let me program my own mind with this. And so what I'm doing is coming up with scripts to literally program my own mind, so that if I listen to the song over and over and over and over and over, I program myself with the path to the resolution and can move forward with that now being an unconscious pattern that I no longer need to think about. So that's really what my lyrics are meant to be. They're meant to be unconscious scripts for future me to no longer have these problems.
Well, I knew you had a talent for it, because not just the project you and my brother have done, but we knew you could rap when we heard a few tracks. But when you did that Marilyn's birthday rap, let me tell you something, my boy.
Yeah.
It flipped my noodles so bad.
Yes.
I was like, there's no way this dude is not incorporating this into his show. You are up there with the like finest MCs when it comes to your verbal dialogue, my good sir.
And that's our personal belief. You can't take that away from us.
You can't take that away from me.
And Recon doesn't know this, but like when you did that birthday rap for me, like off air, that shit was on replay for I don't know how many weeks.
I wish we could play it so everybody could hear it, but
I think
she could bring it up.
I probably can bring it up.
Yeah, but that was like, dude, that and the things you said and how you tied the S.O.R.ian movement
and the entendres you were able to tie
and then
together.
me being the boss and you know and collecting, controlling everything.
That shit was fire.
Yeah.
So if that gives you any kind of extra boost of confidence to extrapolate from what we've just told you, it would be you would be doing me, my brother, Marilyn, the S.O.R.ians a disservice if you ever stopped doing what you do, because that shit means a lot to a lot of people.
Well, Recon knows every time I'm in the chat. He's like, more raps.
And I try to be on your lives, die hard. Like there's some days I just can't make it, but you know, I try to be there for you almost every time you go on, because that's what you do for us. You know, you are a very, very different drink of water.
You are.
You know, and you and I had time to sit and work together. And, you know, it's funny because before we did our team jam, right? And you know this as well as I do. The three of us sitting over here would always be on the Recon channel live, right? And I would say to myself, and it's funny, whether you say it out loud or to yourself, in my personal belief, the universe is always listening, you know? And I would say to myself, God, Recon and I can really do some damage if we wanted to. I never put it out there like, oh, let's do something. But I sat there and thought it. And I was like, man, I would tell Lamar, like, if we did a song with Recon, that shit would be fire, right? But we never done it. And then lo and behold, we come up with a team challenge, and she drew the names out of the hat, and it was Trusto and Recon. Now, for me, I was like, "Oh, this is the universe taking a wink at me," and then somehow it all got messed up.
It all went to shit.
It all went to shit
because I fucked up.
She fucked up, and she had to redraw the names again.
Yeah.
And would you believe? I got Recon again.
And Tracker and Anna.
And Tracker and Anna.
Tracker and Anna were drawn again. And it's just like, okay, now the universe is giving me another huge wink. One, I thought about it. Two, I really wanted it to manifest into reality. And it did. It was like nothing was going to stop this from happening. And, you know, from my mind, dude, keep doing what you're doing. Keep pushing yourself further, and keep doing different things. And you know,
No Lake says it. No Lake says Recon brings something very different to the community.
Right.
He has his own lane.
Yeah.
Right? There's others out there doing it, but in our community, he has his own lane.
Yeah.
And you're very good at it.
And don't worry about the views. Like my thought process on that, because I've seen you make comments in Discord, and I know you have worries about your viewership It's very low, and it's unnerving to me sometimes to like be the only one watching you, or every now and then you'll see a bunch of Saurians watching, and you don't really see a lot of people outside of the Saurian family supporting you. So I get it. It's a little uneasy when I'm in there and I'm watching you do your thing. Don't let that affect you, because the people that need to watch your show, they'll find it.
Yep.
And nothing comes overnight.
We did. How did we find Recon? How did we find you?
I saw him in Hardware Jams for the first time when we first met Inky.
Is that how it was?
That's
Is that
how
we found
that's
Recon?
how I knew. That's how I knew. I was like, who is this guy who just came into Hardware Jams on 2505s?
Oh,
and I was like,
yeah.
sub.
Yeah, and I was hooked the first live I saw. I was like, what?
Well, I was sold
I'm there.
I was sold at 505.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's my staple.
Yeah.
I have the birthday.
Let's do the birthday, and then we're going to pull up
Jam that
another
Recon
one.
did.
We're going to also pull up another song him and I did. But, just to get that across to you, Recon, if you want to say something in return, but don't let that discourage you. Ignore that fucking phone.
Yep, Chrome says it.
And just do you. Chrome doesn't get a whole lot of views either.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us, we don't. We're small. We're all small channels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better you do it for you and your close ones than anyone else, because we're the ones that's truly going to intake it and listen to it and implement it in our lives and appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't want anyone there under false pretenses.
I just want more raps.
Yeah,
Word.
I want more freestyles too.
You know I'm going to keep bugging you on that, Recon. I'm just a fan. And no, I'm not sorry.
I don't think anybody is.
Okay, this is the birthday jam that Recon did for my birthday.
Yo, it's a birthday jam. We're coming through and doing it with a first-rate plan. From Maryland, who deserves a hand. Made it to 48, it was worth the wait, fam. The voice off the camera, bringing that boss energy to soar with mad love. Singing along with the brothers on the pair up. Giving you pause if you got the cause to act up. And we're celebrating that. Tell them in the chat, everyone a melody and rap. Look at what I put together, because Maryland had asked. If you haven't written something, then you better get it fast. And the crew will rock those on the live stream, where we prove we're not foes, as we choose to produce the hot flows for her cumpleaños. Yo, it's a birthday jam. We're coming through and doing it with a first-rate plan. From Maryland, who deserves a hand. Made it to 48, it was worth the wait, fam. The voice off the camera, bringing that boss energy to soar with mad love. Singing along with the brothers on the pair up. Giving you pause if you got the cause to act up. And we're celebrating that. Tell them in the chat, everyone a melody and rap. Look at what I put together, because Maryland had asked. If you haven't written something, then you better get it fast. And the crew will rock those on the live stream, where we prove we're not foes, as we choose to produce the hot flows for her cumpleaños.
That shit is fire.
Fucking fire.
I get chills.
I got something there. I lost my shit that day.
Oh no, yeah, you were about ready to walk out.
I'm ready to fucking beat somebody's ass.
Yeah. I remember you were ready to walk out the studio. You were pissed. You were like,
Maryland, I was a dragon. I was like breathing fire. My boy's putting out flames.
I remember that. I get chills every time, Recon. Every time I hear that, I get chills.
Yeah, that is
I love
just, it's just wild. Your style is totally unorthodox. I've never heard any MC sound like you, or you like someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You're your own man.
You know Recon style. Like if somebody plays me something, like two different things, and one is Recon, I can instantly tell you which one it is.
Yeah, highly underrated, sir. Let's go ahead and play the team jam
the
you and
team.
I
Okay.
did. It was so, after we were drawn together for 2 picks in a row, which was already amazing.
Synchronicity.
The how we collaborated was effortlessly gorgeous.
Yeah.
We didn't have really any issues. He'd play something and I go, "Oh, how you like this?" He goes, "Oh, how you like that?"
Boom, done.
It was done. Before we knew it, it was done. And I think when
Literally
we heard
done.
the full thing back together, we were both like, fuck. Yeah, we did this. It could be good. Yeah, you know? What was your feelings on that?
On what, that collaboration?
Yeah.
The only issue I had was that we had a hard time like getting everything transferred and synchronized over Zoom or whatever we were using.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
If we just sort that stuff out, I'd be like, oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and now, I mean, now it'd be stupid easy because we have StreamYard.
Oh, yeah.
Right now would be just hands down incredibly easy. Back then we didn't have StreamYard.
Right. We weren't operating on that.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was a fun process, man. It was so effortless, you know?
Yeah. It was okay. Well, here, let me show the folks.
Yeah. For those of you who missed it, this is what him and I did with, I think we got this done in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, it was. You're right to say that it just sort of came together. It just kind of happened on its own.
Yeah, it was definitely flawless. Okay, let me chat. Let me know. Make sure that you can hear the audio.
Risky to reminisce the past. It's simply risky to reminisce the past, and friends will pass, suffering the importance of a dope collab. If at all, make it last, or leave it alone, it will crash. Mad or not, rabbit running through your comment box making you laugh. Life's a sketch pad or reconnaissance. Simple loop lane, verbal word spraying, or there a lack of. Recon beats, loops they stack up, they slice up, they pan this way. The rabbit would say, 0 pans display, simply risky.
has always been such a scary idea to
Everybody
Therapy
need a
has
bit of
always been
therapy.
such a scary idea to me. Oh, therapy. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. Jesus.
Yeah, that was fucking fun. I mean, you know, I love the chemistry we had together. I think we really got to do something. You know, the three of us got to get in here and just crack off something special.
That would be nice.
What was your thoughts on that finished product we put out to the people?
As I said, I think that it did just come together. The final mix I hadn't heard because we had like a couple of different like, oh, it might sound like this, it might sound like this, but I didn't hear the final mix until it was published. And I liked how there's like I don't know how long it is, maybe like a minute or two of just like getting acclimated. It's like, oh, this is a pretty nice soundscape. This is good. I like this is good. And then there's a tape deck that's like, hey, look at this. Like that I think that was pretty cool. That it was like a lead in, and then just we're gonna hit you with this other thing right now.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite part. It introduced Recon, and as soon as you see that, you know, radio and the tape and stuff like that, you're like, oh, okay, that's Recon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to slice the song up into two different segments, you know, it's something I would do with Lamar and go droney and just get out of the outer space real quick, but then bring it back and bring a kind of a hip hop type feel and a dance vibe to it.
Great. Uncle Jerry's World said that was chemistry there. You can naturally hear it.
Yeah, it flowed very well.
Very, very effortless to do all of that.
Yeah.
Very. You know, I think we're both probably still surprised on
how smooth it went.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Yeah. Recon, are you a religious person?
Yes.
Okay, do explain.
I'll try to condense this into the shortest version it can be, but ready to extrapolate if any part of this is interesting. So I was originally born into a Roman Catholic household and went through Catholic school through 6th grade, through the beginning of the 6th grade year. And that's when my parents moved.
Did you have to wear the uniform and all of that in the Catholic school?
Yeah, we had the uniform. And
same here.
I had my tie was like a clip together. It wasn't actually tie it. Although nowadays I know how to tie a tie, but when I was 7, I just
clip on.
Yeah. So I did the Catholic thing in my youth, and I was like, "What's this? Oh, what is this? Communion? Oh, this is a big cross there. This big building with all these windows." Like that's. I wasn't really aware of any of that in my youth, but I went all the way through the full Catholic everything through like. For anyone who is not exposed to the Catholic religion, there's multiple so-called sacraments you go through. There's, if I recall correctly, there's 7 total. And one of them is this thing called confirmation, which happens in your early teens. And that's basically just, now that you're old enough, you formally accept this Catholicism, right? Right? And that's what confirmation is. Yeah. So I went and I did all those, communion and what is the other one where you say your sins to the priest? I forget the name, penance. And all of that. Anyway, so I went through that Roman Catholic upbringing. Confession, thank you. That's what I was thinking.
You and I were raised. I went to Catholic school too.
Oh, well, how about that? We're basically twins. I don't know anyone else who's twins.
Basically, I don't know.
You can claim that.
Yeah.
But in my teens is when I started to have a very natural, budding consciousness. And I was just interested in other things. And I studied, for many, many years, probably at least 20, 25 years, I studied all sorts of different systems. So leaving Catholicism, I went into mostly, you name it, just, Taoism, ritual magic, studying ancient Egypt, Buddhism, just a lot of different stuff. And like New Age, whatever they'd call it, let's think about the planet Sirius and how they're our original progenitors, like all this stuff. So I got into like everything that you can imagine in terms of religion and spirituality. And I was always interested in a lot of it. I know Lamar and Lamont, you guys have had the I don't know what you call it. You have your near-death experiences and I don't know if you had sleep paralysis or any of that kind of stuff.
Similar to it. Yeah.
But I had those experiences. So I've had sleep paralysis. I've had out-of-body experiences. I've had, being different from everybody all the time. And so I don't have social experiences. I have different kinds of experiences as a human. Anyway, by age 40, I had seen a lot of different systems, a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different approaches to everything, a lot of different beliefs, a lot of. And by age 40, I essentially had put together my own patchwork quilt of things that I think make sense. And okay, this is how that is. And that thing, yeah, I know that's a religious doctrine, but it's really a metaphor for this other thing. And I essentially just stopped looking for a system or a religion or anything like that. I just sort of said, all right, I think I more or less have my quilt. This is what makes sense to me, and hooray. And then the pandemic happened. And during the pandemic, I started to watch a lot of religious videos. And I actually started with Catholicism because I was like, well, this is, it's been a long time since I saw any of this stuff. So I would watch Catholic masses that were broadcast from whatever priests were doing that, because they moved, basically everybody moved their religious services to YouTube streaming because the pandemic said you can't go to your congregation.
Right.
So I started watching a lot of that stuff. And as I say, I began with Catholicism, et cetera, et cetera. But at that time, I also discovered Judaism. And I was listening to Orthodox rabbis talk about this and that. And it was not very long after I was listening seriously to a few different rabbis that I came to realize that I was like, this is it. Like, how have I not heard this before? How have I not heard Judaism before? Like, what is, it's exactly my quilt, like precisely to a T. It is exactly everything. And, I had even studied heretical Kabbalah in my 25 years of just, exploring things. Kabbalah, which is Hebrew, that was one of the things that I had studied. And that always resonated with me the most, studying Hebrew, studying Kabbalah. And I didn't even know why, really. But then, as I say, at age 40, which was during the year 2020, when I discovered Orthodox Judaism, I basically was just like, I don't have to look for anything anymore. Like, this is everything that I've ever sought, and it's right here in one convenient package. And the way that it, someone saying something?
Yeah. Real quick before you go to it, can you just give us a little taste of what Judaism is about, just so I have an understanding of what struck you? It doesn't have to be terribly long, just a little, synopsis.
Yeah. Superficially, just if you read the Torah, superficially, the Torah is about the Jewish people. I mean, that's the short version of it. It's 5 books of the travails of creation all the way through Moses. But that's only on the most superficial level. In my experience, and maybe this is just me, but Torah is about just truth and reality. Like, it's not a belief system. It's nothing like any other system I've ever experienced. Nothing like it. It's completely singular in its own category. It's not a religion. It's more than a religion. It's like religiousness is subordinate to what Judaism is. Whereas everything else I've ever been exposed to, everything I've ever studied, they're all like, the way it looks to me now in retrospect is it looks like if you talk about anything, Buddhism, Catholicism, any of these other things, all of it looks like somebody at some point 2,000 years ago ran up to a Torah, ripped the page out, and then said, all right, I'm going to try to make a religion out of this. And they have this very, very limited set of, okay, they know a couple of things and they got most of the details wrong and they tried to build a whole religion out of it.
Right.
But that's not what Judaism is. Judaism is the whole story. It's the only thing that's the whole story. It's the only thing that's everything. I certainly can go into more detail about anything, but that's my short version.
Right. I was just trying to get a little bit of the contrast versus from Christianity to where you are now. It seems like you're saying that it doesn't. It's a lot more open, and you have more room to not be tethered by these restraints from the quote unquote normal religion.
That's the total opposite. Torah is like nothing but restraints. So I am not a Jew, to be clear. I have not converted to Judaism. I aspire to be what is called a Noahide, which is somebody who's not a Jew but accepts Judaism. If I were to convert and become a Jew, which I may yet do someday, that's like morning to night, nothing but constantly doing very prescribed things. Like you have to wake up in a certain way. The first words out of your mouth have to be a certain thing. You have to walk to the sink and wash your hands. You have to tie your shoes in a certain way. Like absolutely every part of your life is completely dominated by what they call mitzvot, the commandments. So Judaism is pure restriction.
Oh, wow.
But it is restriction to what is real rather than artificial, rituals. And the restrictions of Judaism free you up so you don't think about, how do I figure out how to interact with this person correctly? You just know what to do and you focus on what's actually called for in the moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting because a lot of people have a lot of different ideas as far as belief, non-belief, and you have to be, I think, the first person who has committed themselves to
actually living
behind the belief and the standard of. Now, like you said, you can get further into it if that's in your cards one day, but I don't think I have one friend or ever known anybody that was into Judaism.
Right.
That's
why I had to ask and see the contrast from it.
Right. Was there something that, other than your studies on it, was it something that was pushing you this way? Like a divine intervention, one might say?
We can't really know, but what I can say now, my subjective experience of it is that it feels to me like one of two things is the case. Either it's just as I described it to you so far, namely that Judaism is actually the real reality and it's not a religion, it's a way to be a person effectively, and hooray, that just resonates with me because I'm a person and yeah, look at that. So it's either that I just found the thing that perfectly resonates with me and lets me fully do everything. It's either that, or in the category of things that are completely unprovable. I was previously, I actually am historically a Jew. I just did some kind of horrible, very bad things in a previous life that put me into this state where I'm no longer part of my community. I no longer can have the blessings, and I have to find my way to converting. And that's actually, that is a path. Like there's books written about that kind of stuff. Like, oh yeah, this person used to be a Jew, but had all sorts of problems, and then they reincarnated as a non-Jew, and so their task in life now is to learn how to convert. That's a path in Judaism, and I wonder. It feels to me like that's what it is. That my soul actually is Jewish, but I was not born Jewish, and now I have this path of finding my way home.
I love that you found something that resonates with you. Some people can go their whole life and not find any kind of meaning in life that resonates with them.
Right. And that's truly a, to each his own paradox. And it's a reason why we always present the religious question in the middle of the conversation, because that shouldn't be something going into any conversation on anyone's life. Because in my mind, politics and religion are the most deadliest forms of conversation a human can have with another human. It's not until you get to know who you're talking to, then you can ask them questions about their life. And at the end of the day, you know what? You've already made friends and found common ground where it doesn't even matter anymore.
Right.
And that's the point we're trying to drive here every time we ask these questions.
Accept another person's belief and rock on with what you have in common.
Right, because the man in front of you hasn't changed. The person you've come to like
hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed. So if you have a problem, the individual, with someone, then ultimately the problem is with you. And the way you're able to articulate your love for this religion is a beautiful thing. How do you feel about mysticism and other people being involved in other religions, does it affect you at all? Does it? I mean, do you take offense to someone believing in something else other than what you believe in?
I certainly don't take offense to any of that. When you say mysticism, I would have always considered myself mystical, so I certainly don't have a problem with that. The only thing that I find is a little irksome, which if I had been born as a Jew and spent my whole life as a Jew, this would probably bother me a lot more, or I would have learned how to tolerate it by now. But the only thing I found that's even like slightly like a little cringy is when Christians are like, "Oh, you mean the Old Testament?" I'm like, "You mean the actual word of brought to us by Hashem? Like, you mean the book, not the one that you tried to attach an epilogue onto?" So calling the Jewish holy books the Old Testament, it's like, oh, you knock it off. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. To you, it's the only testament.
Yeah. Yeah. We have so many friends that are like far right in politics, far left in politics, friends that are atheists, friends that are agnostic, friends that are Christians, friends that are Amish and this and that. And the big thing we take from it is, at the end of the day, we're friends, and nothing is above the friendship. Now, what you do in your personal life is what you do. Everybody has to live this life the way they see fit, because at the end of the day, we all die by ourselves. If we're lucky, we die with a loved one by our side. And I would hate for anyone to live this life not being who they want it to be, and being, and not giving in to judgment and what people think you should be. There was a question I wanted to ask Uncle Chrome, for, him being a
mathematician.
Yeah. I wanted to ask him, as far as religion and mathematics and quantum theory, spirituality, these are all constructs of a consciousness from the mindset. What are these things without the mindset? Are they still observable? Where if this whole spirituality thing came from the conscious mindset, then that means consciousness made it up. It made up mathematics. So how then can mathematics explain everything else? How can spirituality explain everything else without the observer observing it? Does that make any sense to you?
When you started that, you were talking about Uncle Chrome. Are you asking me something, or are you just saying what you want?
That's what I wanted to ask Chrome, but I'm now putting it on your plate to see how you can digest that.
So if I understand correctly, your question is, let's start with the proposition that consciousness is the primordial substance. And then from there, can it be said that all observable phenomena are derived or hail from consciousness? Is that's your question?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I don't know.
It's a huge
that's the sort of thing I would love to contemplate, and that's the kind of thing that like I've been contemplating for 40 plus years. Like that's all I think about, and certainly that is a perspective, and that's kind of a popular thing to say at the moment. This idea that consciousness is supreme, and that people talk about thought manifestation and things like that, and there certainly is legitimacy. Like anybody who's put any serious time into things like conjuring or thought manifestation or prayer, anybody who's been serious about it and really did it for real, like, that's real. Of course it's a real thing. Like the most anything that occurs first exists within the realm of intention, and then anything that has intention must first exist in some kind of higher realm of perception and will and planning based on the perception. So we could talk about like a hierarchy of, I don't want to say metaphysics, but like a physics that is not yet known to humanity, The humanity that, as we are right now in the year 2025, there's just like so few people who genuinely understand extra like phenomena that exist outside of the traditional material realm.
That was that was always my thing. Revolt, goddamn Recon, is we have these concepts, but they're only applicable to Earth and humans, right? These are just a human set of beliefs. I like to think deeper and say far in some different galaxy, many, many light years away, those things that this other civilization believes in totally dismisses ours, and it's just this big old thing of like everything is so not solidified. Like no one really has a grasp on the true, right? Because we only know what we know here on Earth. Something tells me that it's so much bigger than just what we perceive here on Earth.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. I certainly would say that, like, if you were to go to some other planet, many light years away, not even visible from Earth, and let's say there's another civilization over there, and let's say it's really sophisticated, and all of this, I agree that such a hypothetical alien civilization may have been built through very, very different means, and they might not have something that is equivalent to what we call mathematics. And they might not have something that's equivalent to insert other thing here. They might have just like everything is so completely, utterly, just totally alien and different. Like that is absolutely a realistic proposition to have a thought experiment about. And at the same time, I would assert that even in such a case where there's this sophisticated, species that is on a level that's comparable to ours in terms of civilization and having control over your environment and being the dominant species and all of this. Although I would be open to arguments about whether humans are the dominant species of Earth. Nonetheless, I would say that such an advanced civilization would have patterns that are similar to us. There would be something like a concept of like order, so that you could drive down the road and not constantly crash into people. Like there would be an idea of order. There would be an idea of like how to interact with another member of your species such that it doesn't devolve into complete chaos immediately. There would be something that we can speak of, even if it's very, very alien to anything that we can conceive of right now.
But there's order to it.
Something.
Right.
And so oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're right, because we can see that in the animals that also share the planet with us, right? A school of fish has some sort of order. Dolphins, whales, monkeys, birds, species, period. And I'm not saying we're the most complex life, but you're right. Even germs and viruses have some sort of order. Even a neutrino has movement with order. So I think that would be like what you would say a universal understanding.
Yep.
Sometimes I just think like they would say things like, "Oh, what you call religion is what we see as this," and maybe it's nowhere even near what we thought. What you think is math, we call this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What? Okay. Leaving religion aside for the rest of the podcast, let's move on a little past this. And what? Well, two things. You said you had an outer body experience. What was that like?
Yeah, I've had multiple of those. Which one? There's a few I could talk of. I remember one in particular when I was in my college dorm room. I remember one day I went, it was, 1 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. It was the middle of the day, probably Thursday or Saturday or whatever it was. Anyway, I was taking a nap in my dorm room, and I remember having this experience of leaving my body, but it didn't feel like leaving my body. It felt like I was just getting up out of the bed and going into the hallway and, interacting with people out there. And then at some point I realized like, oh, wait, no, I'm not actually physically here. Wait, what was it? I've had experiences like that. in other, not just my college experience. I remember at my residence having similar experiences of going out of my body and flying down the street that was outside the house. Or I mentioned earlier sleep paralysis. I've had sleep paralysis a number of times where I'll kind of be falling asleep and then, oh no, it's happening. Was it? It's just like loud banging, and I have like scary, like everything is so intimidating and frightening, and I'm ascending through the ceiling. And so I've had a lot of things like that where my awareness seems to move out of my physical body, whether it's really doing that or it's just processing some kind of imagination that we don't know. But
what do you say to somebody that says, "Oh, they just chalk it up. Oh, it was just a dream. You were just dreaming." I'm curious what I know what I think, my brother thinks, but what do you tell someone when you know that you're fully conscious and aware and it's not a dream? Like, how do you explain your symptoms?
I wouldn't. This is not in the category of things that I talk to about with anyone ever, really. So I've never been in a position where actually, now that I'm saying this, I wonder if I've ever even talked about this at any length with anyone.
Right.
But I've certainly never been in a position where someone's like, no, let me tell you what your experience was. I've never had that happen.
Right.
Is when you had this experience, could you literally was your conscious as it is now, like in this reality, you speaking with us, when you had your out of body experience, were you there? Were you coherent as to, oh shit, I think that's my body right there and I'm outside of it?
Oh, the answer is yes, fully conscious. So it's like, it's more than a lucid dream. Fully conscious, it just feels like normal awareness. Like there have been times that I've had that experience and I thought I woke up and I thought I was walking down the house, walking down the stairs in the house or whatever. And then only later realized that I wasn't physically there. And I sort of like shake myself up and, oh, I'm back in my bed. What's this? So I don't know that I've had an experience of turning around and looking at my body. That I don't want to say I don't want to definitively say I've not experienced that, but I'm not recalling it off the top of my head. It's usually more of just like an outing, going out.
Have you experienced anything else that was just like it challenged your whole process on this reality?
Yeah. Yes, I have, to answer your question.
Well, let's hear it, my friend. That's what we're here for.
A moment ago, you mentioned that you wanted to move past the religion stuff. So I'll say this briefly and we can move past it.
We can go back. I don't care if we go back. Let's go back. This is your day, sir. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the things you don't want to talk about.
I have had a lot of very consistent experiences with, as I said earlier, thought manifestation and conjuring. I've had enough experiences that there's no way I'm going to question that. It's as consistent for me as like, if I take this piece of paper and drop it, gravity's going to make it fall. I'm not questioning that gravity's going to make it fall.
Right.
Similarly, if I exert what I would now call prayer nowadays, if I'm doing proper prayer in an actual legitimate way and not just like sitting here demanding in my thoughts that something happened, but like really doing prayer properly, it happens. I mean, it happens the same day. It happens the next day. A consistent, permanent change in my life because I made one prayer. Like that stuff's very real. And so that's the kind of thing that, to answer your question, have you had other things that make you reassess your connection with reality? Like that's one right there, I would say.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing. When you have your own self-fact, when something that happens to you becomes your fact, and no one can ever take that away from you because it validated so much shit that only you could understand it. Those are the ones where you don't even need to tell anybody and just accept the gift. Because I can relate to that 100%. I never tried to convince anybody of my universal fact.
Just watch the wink.
Just watch the wink, and as they come, they come.
And I find it funny that, and this is a lot of personal friends we speak to and strangers, even people who don't believe in a God, and people do have a belief in things, And I think it's instilled within the human genome for us to believe in things. Now, I could ask probably everyone in chat, and they may agree and they may not agree, but I would strongly agree that when people say karma is going to get your ass and she is going to get you, everyone said it and everyone has believed in it, and everyone, I would like to think everyone has seen karma
in action.
In action. Now,
and not everyone. I don't like to generalize.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like to believe most people know and strongly believe, or why would you say it? Karma will get you.
Or what goes around comes around.
And to me, that's a manifestation of a deity. You're calling karma a deity to work her magic, and maybe it doesn't happen tomorrow. But you believe, you strongly believe it will happen, and you kind of keep yourself in check from doing negative shit to people. Now, that could just be easily equated to your morals and who you are as a human being. Like, I'm a realist, too. I don't get lost in the mysticism so much to the point where I'm not a realist. But I said it a couple of times, karma will get your ass, and sure as shit, I've watched karma get people.
Mm-hmm. And the synchronicity behind that, I was speaking to my boys last night about karma, about how it seems like whenever you do something of an ill nature to something or someone, what goes around comes around. And like you said, it may not come around tomorrow, but karma definitely makes its way around. And I think, like you said, most people have witnessed that. A lot of people have seen that in play and in action. But a lot of people, like where he was getting to, they don't want to subject themselves to believe in anything else, even if it comes right before their eyes.
Yeah. What do you think about karma, the deity karma?
The deity of karma, or the concept of like
either or, the deity, the concept, it's being preyed upon as karma will get you. That's where karma is.
Yeah. So I would certainly reject any concept of a deity of any sort. That's pretty core to Torah.
Right.
But the idea of we live in a closed system, which means your energies have a reverberation. Mm-hmm. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a fact. Like that's an obvious fact.
Right. Right.
But
ripple
and that's quantum entanglement if you're into science. But go ahead.
That very point of do we live in a closed system or an open system? As far as I can tell, that seems to be the main crux of the issue. Like, do you believe that all of existence is ordered, or do you believe it's total random chaos? Do you believe that everything is organized according to knowable principles, or do you believe in infinite relativism? So the concept of a karma idea that's consistent with the former in each of those cases. It's consistent with a closed system. It's consistent with organizing principles. It's consistent with all these things. It's not just, the counter argument about do you believe in anything? The counter argument is like, well, everything's relative, and if I do something, it didn't go anywhere. Nobody heard me say that. These are loose ends that aren't being tied together, and it just doesn't add up. Like, you can't go your whole life believing in infinite relativism and then have these consistent experiences. Like, you have themes in your life. You know that problem you have ever since you were 7 years old, and it keeps popping up and popping up and popping up and popping up? That's because it's not infinite relativism and total chaos. That's because you live in a closed system where there are patterns and you have a thread. So to me, it just seems really obvious that there is order, that the universe is an ordered experience. It's so obvious to me. But I know that some people want to argue the opposite. And that's part of what being a human is for. That's part of what this world of, matter is for.
Right.
The world of matter is so that you have time and space, literally. It's so that you have time and space to discover things, to think through things, and to realize where you're wrong. You have the time to go through 70 years of life so that on your final day before you die, you say, oh, that's what your life was about. It was about you having your time and space to realize the thing that you insist on.
That was well said.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I really look forward to talking to people who don't believe what I believe in, who don't see the world the way I see it. Like, those are my best conversations with people, because it reaffirms to me that people have their own ideas, their own ideations, and they're living it.
I'm always tied to that. What if everybody is right?
Steve has a question. He wants me to ask Recon, what is the end goal?
Oh, to what end?
Yeah.
About
is that
which part?
I think what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So like the idea of the three-dimensional space-time is for you to explore things? Is that
so?
is
He
that
said
part?
what the end goal is for that. To what end? He asked it in the chat too.
Yeah. So the end result of having lives, being incarnated as a human so that you can go and explore whatever you need to explore and realize whatever you need to realize, the end result of that is entering into what I would call the service of Hashem. So it's entering into a place where you're no longer arguing about whether you should, I don't know, drive on the right-hand side of the road or the left-hand side of the road. You're no longer arguing about whether, oh, I lent you $5. Should I really pay you the $5 back or not? You don't have any kind of fights or arguments anymore about how things should go. You eventually, after sufficient number of lifetimes, you realize this is how things are going to go. Whether I like it or not, this is what reality is. And when your soul arrives at that point through multiple incarnations, and you eventually realize, like, the whole way down, you know every single little piece. There's nothing else about reality that you need to learn. Then you enter into a phase of exiting out of being a human, where you have to do a lot of suffering, and you have all the arrows slayed at you that you threw at other people. And you just, once you get through that suffering, then you stop being a person, and you become what you might call an angel, or you become what you might call just a force of nature, where you do the thing without protesting, without having your brilliant idea of how to improve it. You just do what is called for of you, and you stop being a human at that point.
So you're saying, more or less, go with the flow, be in the flow state.
Sort of, although a flow state can also have you upchucking things that are very not good, like fixations or wounds. So if you're in a flow state, it doesn't necessarily mean you are a one-to-one lockstep with reality. It's the one-to-one lockstep with reality that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That is interesting.
It's a good concept of the inside look of Recon. I mean, but it makes sense to me. You know, it's like I'll always try to understand everybody's walk of life. So,
and respect it at the end of the day.
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I've always found stuff like that interesting, though. Other people's beliefs, what moves them.
Yeah.
I just, one, I love these conversations, but two, I just hope that everyone can live the life that they're living without someone judging them. You know, I think that would be the most unfortunate thing for someone to experience, is that's your walk. You should be free to walk your path without someone going,
That's wrong. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong, Recon. I got the fucking answers.
Yeah. And
You don't
just
have the fucking answers.
judging you for it, being pissed off about
Right.
it, and then constantly attacking you for it. Like,
Right.
what's the point? And what did you, as the one doing that, gain from it? Did it make your belief or your thoughts or your opinion stronger because you attacked somebody who probably didn't have the same, opinions,
Right.
beliefs as you? Like,
what makes someone think that their idea is far better than yours, and this is the way you should live your life?
Right.
What
Yeah.
gives another individual that type of mindset and power to say, hey, fuck what you want and fuck how you live. You're
Yeah.
going to live my way.
This is how it should be.
Or it's the highway.
What happened? I always wonder what happened to the world where opinions weren't facts. Like, when did that change? I was personally excited for Recon to come on because I knew it was going to be like a fascinating interview, and Steve as well. So we have a private channel on Discord where all the moderators are in, just so we can communicate with each other. outside of like the live chat, and he mentioned he's like, I knew Recon would be a fascinating listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What let's see, how do I ask this? What in your mind, and this is going to be another huge question. That's what we ask. We don't expect answers, but when you say I don't know, those are the best answers because
Beautiful. Love those answers.
They're honest answers.
Yep.
I don't fucking know.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time I don't even know the fucking answers. Or how I would answer certain questions.
Mm-hmm.
But what's it gonna take if it was to take anything to get humanity on the right path to respect one another, to love one another? Now, I'm not saying do away with the polarities of being a human, because we need polarities. But what do you think it's going to take to get us to just work together and make society a wonderful place where there's no borders and we can visit our friends and families all over the world without having to worry about he say, she say, and media and financial security, where anybody born on this planet can go and visit anywhere on this world and make a new friend and do it effortlessly?
What'll it take to get to that point?
Yeah.
I have a couple of responses. The first one is, I don't know.
I love those answers.
Beautiful response.
The other answer is that there are two views. There are two basic views you could take. One of them is that it's just a predestined in its amount of time. So like in the same way that if you have a newborn infant, you can look at that newborn infant and be like, whoa, look how this infant doesn't have table manners. Boy, this infant is literally, defecating its diapers. This is so uncivilized. What is it going to take to make this infant get civilized? And the answer is like, well, it just has to grow up. It's going to take a little while. It might take, whatever, 15, 18 years in the case of a human. In the case of humanity, the traditional Jewish projection is that it's 6,000 years from the moment of Gan Eden.
6,000 years.
6,000 years, yeah. And there's all sorts of deductions on why that's the case. It has to do with the fact that Hashem created the universe in 7 days, and the first 6 days are where action happens. 7th day is where rest happens. So those are translated to 6,000 years. Long derivations associated with that. But that's that's one view you could take, that it's just a matter of time. And that seems to be credible, since if you look at the history of humanity, it certainly has been moving from barbaric into more civilized. So there does seem to be a direction moving forward. The other view is that you can adopt that this dimension where everything is physical matter and you have three-dimensional space. And I mentioned earlier, space-time is for the purpose of, stopping to fight reality. You have these incarnations, and so you learn how to stop fighting reality. The other view then is that there will never come a day when humanity is, resolved or sufficiently evolved, because there needs to be a dimension where you can go in order to learn stuff. I subscribe more to the latter, that it will eventually end, that we'll stop having the need for this dimension of needing to learn what reality is, and that we will eventually just become the more mature, grown-up species, and we're just not there yet. So I subscribe to that one, but those are possible views you could adopt.
Yeah. Have you ever tried any hardcore drugs like psilocybin, acid, or DMT, like any? And I shouldn't call them hardcore drugs. Any
conscious shifting, paradigm awakening chemicals.
Yeah, my position on that is I would probably explore that kind of stuff if there weren't the concern of like legal concerns. So because those things are in the United States are not legal, I'm not gonna go there.
Most people that really want to try, like, let's just say the jungle's vine, they would fly to Peru where it's legal, right? They would go to these 7-day retreats. You would be forced to purge all the toxins out of your body by going on this hellacious fast, and you would eat food that was provided to you. how do you feel about that? Maybe if you were really wanting to self-diagnose by unfolding your ego and going to an ayahuasca retreat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've certainly read that stuff. Like that's part of what I alluded to earlier when I said I've studied all these different things. Part of what I studied in my study years was that kind of stuff. People talking about, ayahuasca or what's that other one that begins with an M? Is that right? There's some cactus.
Yeah.
Not
well,
peyote.
there's
Peyote.
peyote.
Yeah, peyote.
Mhm.
So I've heard people talk about that stuff, and I would be potentially interested, but I'm not really in a good position to comment on that.
Yeah, don't listen to Rabbit. Meth is not a good choice.
So
that's not the drug I'm talking about at all.
I haven't tried anything like that other Recon. The most that I've tried was marijuana and a little bit of mushroom psilocybin, but nowhere near like a heroic dose to have like a self-diagnosing session. But what I have read, and his name is Dr. Rick Strassman, very, very renowned PhD, when it comes to the hormone or chemical that all humans, most animals, and a lot of plants naturally secrete, which is called dimethyltryptamine, DMT for short. These people, they have studied it for a very long time. And not only have they studied it, but they have too placed themselves under the sedation of said chemical that we secrete. And they've come away with these profound insights and these very universal type laws that happen in this DMT world. Like there's always some being or some what they would call machine elves that greet you, and it's so intense that one person may have an experience, and in that experience, an entity would ask about the person who's also doing the experiment with you. Mm-hmm. Like, so, and with great detail. So things like you could not dismiss, right? Like, because how could you know this, or how does it know this? And so they're saying that this holds some weight. There's a dimensional divide between the physical and this other spiritual or dimensional world that coincides with the same laws of the universe. And people often come back with a paradigm shifting of acknowledging their ego, which they come back and their ego has been humbled, not eradicated, but humbled. And it would translate over to ayahuasca, right? Who was some profound figures like Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback from the Green Bay Packers, went and had an ayahuasca treatment because he thought he was far gone, comes back a total different person. You know, like these things have a whole lot of meaning. And I think our upper echelon, let's just say the pharmaceutical game, they don't want you to know about particular things out there that could have you possibly become better. It's the reason why a cured patient is money lost. It's the reason why they really don't want to look at psilocybin for PTSD for a lot of our troops when they come back from war, because it's known to help. Everyone that's tried microdosing under psilocybin, it has physically and mentally helped them. Mm-hmm. But why they won't publish peer review articles mm-hmm. on these things? Why do we have to ignore it and sweep it under a rug and call it a taboo drug
when it's clearly helping?
When it's clearly helping people. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what research you have done, but have you looked into it and seen these results?
I have heard of what you're talking about. I haven't done any of my own research, but I've certainly heard plenty of people, podcasts and whatnot, talking about this kind of stuff, where it's like these psychedelics have some kind of like permanent healing potential, even through microdosing, as you say, that someone can, struggle with depression for 20 years. They can have, if they have a good experience with a professional who can actually assist them in their state, that they can be guided to like maybe permanently being done with depression forever. Like that, mm-hmm. I've heard that plenty of times. And I also wonder, as you say, I wonder if, there's some finger on a scale somewhere that's preventing it from becoming more well or widely adopted. I don't know. We can only wonder about that.
Right. And if it's working, then how come we don't talk about it more? Like there was a few articles I read where someone's actually narrowed down 25 different types of cancers and has a way to eradicate it, but to get it peer reviewed and to get it past the pharmaceutical gods, it's a roadblock, right? So that kind of tells you like where we're at. Like I don't know how you feel about that.
I have no pushback on that.
Yeah.
So there's two questions I like to present certain guests that will entertain it, and I leave these out for certain guests too, because maybe their demeanor won't accept it in the right way, or maybe I haven't known them long enough to ask this question to think about getting an honest answer and or the time to sit and really think about how they're going to answer these two questions. But I'm going to ask you these questions because you are totally different from a lot of the interviews we've had, and it would be a good time to ask you these two questions because I think you're going to come up with the best answers. I've had people over our podcast for a year now. They would come up with answers and we would know, okay, that was ego. Ego forced you to come up with those answers.
Right.
Because you're the type of person that's not going to be put in the spot where I'm not going to have an answer. My ego is going to help me come up with an answer for this. Right? So here's the question. And I've had this question presented to me, and I've had maybe one word answer or a 2-word answer, and I was honest with myself. But I keep going over these questions in my mind almost every day in my life because it helps me stay on track. So here's your first question, and it may be a short one, it may be a long one. Who are you?
I don't have an answer for that. Who am I?
Yeah.
Like I realize that you're not asking like what's your name and social security number. I realize you're not asking that.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be able to in any way summarize who and what I am as if I even know that. Like I'm this. It's like actually, what's a good illustration? Earlier I said that I'm like really into Judaism, but I haven't converted to be a Jew yet. Part of that is that I want to make sure this isn't a phase. So I'm just always changing. Like that's what my name means. That's what reconsider means. It means always be willing to part with anything you value and evolve because all of those things are just details that come and go, but you are not something that comes and goes. You're the observer of stuff. You're the experiencer of stuff. You're not the stuff that you experience. So, I mean, I guess that's my answer to that. I'm the observer of my own experience, but that's the most I can really say. I don't know anything beyond that.
Yeah. So that was a very profound answer. Like a lot of people have answered this question very differently. I've done field questions about this. Out in the field, just asking random people, who are you? And they would come up with some.
Well, we had, it got to a point where we had to leave context and say outside of your name and who you think you.
It got to that point.
Outside of that,
you recognized it very easily.
Right.
That I wasn't asking who Recon is. But you thought about it in a way to where, like literally, how I would want someone to look at what I'm saying or listen to what I'm saying. Who are you? That was a beautiful answer, believe it or not. If you care to hear my answer is still, I don't know. Because I truly don't know.
We have an hour left, just FYI, before we got to get off because Skid Jarvis is coming on.
Okay. The next question. how sure of you of your ideations in life?
How sure am I my ideations? I would say my ideations, I'm sure that they're wrong. I'm sure that they're not complete. I'm sure that they're ego driven. I'm sure if they're not ego driven, I'm sure then they are at least relative to me and therefore cannot meet the definition of an ideation. So I would say my ideations, total certainty that they're false, or at least they are finite. How about that? They're finite. But not my ideations, namely the Torah. That's like, well, there's no questions about that.
So Recon said my ideations are wrong. Well, wrong, I think is correct, but wrong to others maybe. But they're
right for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That question, like Uncle Jerry goes, like, what kind of questions are these that I'm asking? And these questions, like, if you're not, those who are here with us now and later, challenge yourself. Ask this question to yourself. Who are you? And be deadly honest about it and attempt to answer the question.
Without your ego influencing.
Without anything influencing it. Like who are you really? Without any influences on you.
Yeah. How well do you know yourself?
Who are you? It's a very difficult question. And then the other one is, how sure of your ideations are you? Are you willing to stake your life on it? Are you willing to die over it? How sure are you of your ideations? Because it comes down to so many variables. And if you can answer those two questions in your life, you're getting closer to knowing thyself and mastering thyself.
If you need help doing that, I would, if you take the time, if you really want to know yourself, I would go into a mirror in a quiet space, look at yourself in the mirror for about 5 minutes, and then ask yourself, who the fuck am I? And how come I only look at myself when I'm brushing my teeth and really never ever spending time in the mirror to look at myself and question myself and have a conversation with myself?
Yeah, like what Rabbit just said. Can you post what Rabbit just said?
Yeah. And Rabbit knows this from firsthand experience, right? He says it's easy to answer that here in the comment section. It gets real in the hot seat.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It gets real, and it's if you're doing yourself a justice in anything you do, how much of people's ideations over the years that you've done no study on, that you have zero facts on, and you let that enter your life and you are dedicated to it. That is a part of you. How much of those facts, not your own experiences with life, but others, people's ideations and ideas, how much have you let that in to be hard pressed in your mind and go, I believe 100% in these things, and that's it. I'm 100% sure.
Uncle Jerry's World said, I do that, but I'm usually stoned.
But sometimes being stoned is a good way to do it.
It's an eye opener,
because
right?
you really are observant to your thoughts and your consciousness.
You let your guard down and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
But it's funny, like I know some people who viewed our interviews are kind of a little bit standoffish on them, and they themselves don't want to come on because of these questions that we ask. And we ask them not in a way to scare you or influence in any other way,
right.
or bring controversy in any other way. They're designed to get to know the individual for the individual without no
bias.
Walls being put up, without any judgment, nothing. Like, that's what we strive for here on this podcast, is everybody is heard, everybody is respected. You can have different opinions on certain things. Like with Recon, there are some things that I don't agree with what he said. Am I going to not respect him at the end of the day?
Right.
No,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I respect him more because we have the differences and we can coincide, and you guys can collaborate, and he continues to come on our channel. We go on ours. At the end of the day, somebody's beliefs and opinions aren't fact.
God damn. Well, how come our goddamn Congress and political system can't do this?
Well, how come our own goddamn family can't do that?
Well, that's another thing.
Right?
Yeah.
And we must love each other and respect each other for who they are at the end of the day.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, too, it's not your life.
No.
It's their life.
No.
So if they think they're right, they're right.
They're right. Absolutely.
Bottom line.
Yeah, as long as you're not affecting my household, we're all good.
Right. And
We're
if it
good.
And if it affects you,
Then check yourself.
check yourself because you have the problem.
Yep.
You have a problem with other fucking people.
Yeah.
If they affect you so much to where they're being themselves and you're like, ugh,
It's giving you
I'm
a negative.
disgusted.
Yeah.
Then check
reaction.
yourself
Yeah.
because you should
Yeah.
be happy that they're being 100% themselves.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very hard thing to be, is yourself. Because
Uncle Jerry's World says, I actually go visit my mom on Wednesdays instead of Sundays because of this channel.
there you go.
Because he's getting to
There you
know
go.
his S.O.R family.
And we don't
right?
have, he knows, he's starting to get to know people, but look, we don't have the fucking answers. We're not psychiatrists.
No.
We don't pretend to know things that people don't know.
But we love asking questions.
We love asking questions, and we love having conversations with people with different beliefs and different walks of the park. Because if you don't know and you don't get invested in your community and you don't really give a fuck about people, then it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But I mean, what do you think, Recon? What about this conversation has given you a little bit of a relief as to who you are as a person?
I would say I'm very, very relieved. I'm glad you asked this question. I'm very relieved that since Samurai just made a Vanilla Ice reference, that's
right.
a good experience. I'm feeling very good right now. I'm relieved.
Jeez. He comes in here and was like, bam.
That's how you know he's been lurking when he does
He was
responses
lurking,
like that.
Yeah.
Something
I
resonated.
also want to shout out Uncle Chrome because Uncle Chrome put here, and he spelled it right.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Sometimes people put HERE. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
instead of like
here.
No, here. Like, I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, grammar, right? Apostrophe and commas mean a whole lot of things. It changes the sentence context completely.
It does completely.
Steve, so it's past the last hour mark. We're at probably like another 45 minutes. 45 minutes. So here is where we open questions to the chat. And Steve has started it off with, can I ask Recon, why is he wearing that t-shirt?
Why am I wearing this t-shirt? Would you rather I'm not wearing a t-shirt?
Right? I think he means like you're saying, which I absolutely love.
Yes, this shirt here. Is it visible enough on that?
Yeah, I can survive hopelessness.
Ah, jeez. Yeah, I can survive hopeless. Yeah, I made this shirt.
Hope.
Hopelessness. It is hopelessness. You read it right.
Yeah.
I can survive hopelessness. So that's a shirt I made. A number of my shirts are the ones I made. Oh, go ahead.
I like that shirt in particular because you can read it for me, I can read it in different ways. I can survive hope, or I can survive hopelessness.
Yeah.
As far as like what made me create this shirt,
Yes.
I mean, I'm always in a maybe not always, but if I'm ever not in the studio, if I'm ever doing something other than live streaming with my loopers and such, I'm always in a state of hopelessness. Like that's just like my life. It's just there's no point in anything. There's no point in relationships. There's no point in trying anything. And that is a hurdle. Like that's a thing that certainly I need to overcome, and I can survive hopelessness. But it's also something that other people struggle with. I'm not the only person who has that experience. And so by making this shirt, what I was trying to do, I may or may not have succeeded, but I'm trying to do just like, hey, look, this is the thing. You're not alone. So anybody, like when I used to play shows at bars and stuff, I would wear this shirt, and that's just like another small little gesture. I can be like one little light feather touch in someone's life that makes them say like, hey, wait, I'm not the only person who feels that way. It's like, yes. If you're struggling with serious hopelessness, you should know that you're not the only person struggling with that. That doesn't solve the problem. It's not like, oh, I'm not the only person, therefore it's fine. No, that doesn't solve anything, but it's better than not hearing that. Like understanding that other people are experiencing it is a better experience than not being sure whether other people experience it.
Not feeling alone.
That sometimes just help people in general knowing that they're not alone.
Yeah. The other. So I always have this saying that, that I say, and it can sound harsh, but if you really sit back and think about what I'm saying, it makes a whole lot of sense. Whenever somebody is going through something or dealing with something and feel like it's only happening to them or whatever, I always like to tell them, you're not special. And somebody around the world or right down the street from you is dealing with the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You're not special.
Nope. None of us are. We're all going through the same shit.
Yeah.
Swimming through the same shit. Different colors and different smells of swirling shit. But boy, are we swimming in it.
Yeah. Crazy Rabbit has a question. Dark is back. What's the backstory? That song video goes harder than diamonds.
Yeah, that's the song that some of the people listening may have watched. It's my video where I'm walking in front of a crowd and they have the picket signs behind me and everything.
I believe we aired that on Popcorn night. Yep.
So the story behind that, there's not much of a story. Like most of my songs, as I described earlier, are just like I have some issue and I start working through it so that I have the solution. Since it's hopeless for me to get the solution elsewhere, I have to forge the path myself. So for that particular one, that's mostly about like experiences that I've had. I guess maybe this is worth saying as a preference. That's not what I'm trying. Before thing. I'm going to set a before thing, a prelude. And that is in general for like the whole entire time that I've been writing lyrics. People have always wanted to know, maybe not always, but frequently, many people have asked me, like, oh, what's that song about? Is it about this thing? Is it about that thing? People think I'm writing songs about them. People always want me to reduce my lyrics down to like, it was this one incident with this one person at the restaurant. It's nothing like that. When I'm writing lyrics, I'm writing about patterns that happen across many relationships. So that song, Dark is Back in particular, that's about this, you could say like a character, like the abstraction of a person or the abstraction of behavior, a character who like really gets in your face and gets on your case about little minutia, and they call you names, and like my video is showing, they chase you like a mob and with signs that say, what are you here, you demon, get out of here, you're not welcome here. But it's really like totally unprompted, unprovoked. like what are you attacking me for? I was minding my business. That's what that song is really about.
Yeah, it's so profound, man. Like you really tapped into a source that's omnipotent. You know, like Recon is on a conscious level, and I think that's what this channel is based on too, as well. You know, we don't want anybody to come here and feeling left out and feeling negative vibes.
Right.
We try to kick that shit out before it even occurs.
I gotta get my question in before anybody else does. UFOs come down from outer space, Recon, and they come down right in your goddamn backyard and say, hey, you want to go see the all? You want to go for a ride? What do you do? How does it freak you out? Do you run? Do you hide? Do you say yeah? Do you say no? What happens?
Yeah, definitely not trusting that.
Yeah.
So
Like,
I'm not going to be like, oh, not only are these beings who I've never interacted with, which that's trustworthy enough, but also this is an organism I've never seen before. And look, technology I can't even understand. I'm jumping on that with all the alacrity that I have in my legs. Like, nope, I'll probably do the opposite of that.
Okay,
like,
outside of that, what does that do to you, knowing that we're not alone in the universe?
If we can just assume that it's legit, like we can get past anything. Oh, maybe it's some kind of hidden government program. if we can just go to the starting point where you assume, okay, this is actually legitimately extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
If we start at that point, what does that do to me to know that there are extraterrestrials? I'd be like, I would have a mixture of like, oh, cool. This is like the next many thousands of years of humanity. We have plenty to talk about and research and work on.
For real.
Yeah.
At the same time, I would also be a little intimidated by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Do you think it stuns the world? Do you think it's like, that's it, the world's going to stop working, it just comes to a screeching halt?
Screeching halt. I guess I don't necessarily have any particular predictions about that. I could see that happening. That's a very small leap to say legitimate extraterrestrials, world screeching halt. Yes, that's a very short line to connect those dots.
I seen the Body Electric, I think, has a question for you. Who are you writing to and why?
Yeah, I'm always writing to myself. I'm always writing for future me. I take some issue, something that needs to be worked through for myself, just purely my own stuff, and I come up with my own solution for me, and I put it into words, into lyrics, and then I can listen to the song and program my subconscious so that I have the solution moving forward.
Nice.
I like.
Yeah, shit. You're a solid dude, my brother. You are unshakable in that couch, or the proverbial couch.
The proverbial couch. I have a question. If you could do your looping, your raps, creating music as a full-time career, would you choose to do that, or would you think it would take something away from how you're doing it now?
Yeah. I'd say it depends on how it's a career. So for example, if I could somehow, like, I already do live streams probably like 3 to 6 times a week. And if somehow magically we can just like put on our wishing caps, I guess, and just magically like, there you go, you have 3 million followers, and look at everybody just wants to join your live streams where you're doing nothing. You would have been doing this anyway. And look how you're making $20,000 a month. If I could just do that like I'm doing it anyway, I would not anticipate, like, if I didn't have a specific metric that I needed to make sure that I meet in order to get the income. If it was just, you get the income because you're so great and everybody loves you and just do your thing, I would be very happy with that. But if it has to be a business of some kind, like I have to make the songs in a certain way in order for them to get whatever income. I have to do the live streams in this specific way, and I better keep growing, and I better keep making sure that I keep giving people a reason to tune in. Like, if I have to put all this effort into it that compromises what I feel naturally inclined to pursue through my art, then I would feel more hesitant to say, I don't want it.
Right. I think everybody just wants to be organic and not dictated.
Right.
Steve has a great question. If you can have dinner with anyone who's real, living or dead, who would that be and why?
Probably maybe Steve Sonus Lucis. That might be.
I see what you did there, my boy.
Do that out there quick too. Shit.
Sneaky little bastard. That was a clever response, Recon.
Are you gonna leave it there at that?
It's like, no, for real. Let's seriously answer the question. I don't have an answer to that. I mean, people have asked that before, and I don't know. Like, I don't care about people. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't really want to.
But you don't have like an idol or something, or somebody that you look up to, like
KRS-One?
musically, or just like in your other career, or just in general?
My favorite artist, the last time that I had a favorite, I wouldn't say nowadays I have a favorite artist, but the last time I had a favorite artist, it was Maynard from Tool.
Oh, hell yeah.
He's like, for sure, like, just the best. It's just like, that's it. You can't get better than that. Nowadays, I don't know that I would want to have a meal with him, though. Like, he's a pretty intense guy, and he'd cut me down real fast.
Well, they always say that never meet your heroes.
Right. Yeah.
Same with KRS. Like I don't. Maybe I'd want to have a dinner with KRS, but I'm actually, you know what? I've seen him a couple times, but one time I flew to Toronto for something, and at the hotel I was at, I don't know what. Oh, it was a fire alarm. That's what it was. So I went to this hotel in Toronto, and there was a fire alarm at like 2 a.m. And so I went, down the stairs. You couldn't take the elevator. I'd go down the stairs and everything. And in the lobby was KRS with like, I don't know, a 15-person entourage, and they're just hanging out there. I was like, oh man, this is really cool. Yeah. I didn't go talk to him, but I guess technically I've been in the same room as him outside of the context of a show.
How funny is that? Someone you idoled and someone who's like had a spark in your creativity, you meet, and most are not that privy.
I didn't meet him. It was a good distance away that I saw him, but
it's close enough, right? I mean, you were still in the same building as the person with visual contact. Like that says a lot, right?
Yeah.
Some sort of synchronicity behind that. Real quick, I got 3 rapid questions. You ready?
Does he have to answer them rapidly?
Rapidly. You ready?
Oh, geez.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Favorite color?
I don't know, black, red, something, blue. I don't know.
God damn it, that's 3. Narrow it down. Hurry up. Favorite color, go.
Friggin' black. Let's do black.
All right. Favorite food, go.
Pizza, sushi, Indian, Thai.
No, one.
Just one.
Indian food is my favorite food.
And the last one, get your mind right. Favorite time of the year, go.
Summer for sure. I don't have to think about that one.
That's what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at, my boy.
Do you know of or have heard of the famous Russian composer Sergei? I can never.
Rachmaninoff.
Yeah, I can never pronounce his last name.
It does not sound familiar.
Okay, then I can ask the corner's question. Okay, well, moving on.
Abraham Lincoln or Rachmaninoff.
Yeah, but if he doesn't know who Sergei is, it'd be kind of a muted question.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Cornish asked Abraham Lincoln or this Rachmaninoff. I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Yep, he is a famous Russian composer.
I Sing says summer is the wrong answer for that.
God damn, I Sing.
Well, I Sing, what's your favorite time of the year?
Winter.
Oh, he said winter.
Winter,
really?
Yeah. I like winter too.
Man.
I like winter because of jazz and the seasons and the festivities that go on, and people tend to be in a brighter mood.
Man, you be hitting all the synchronicity buttons today. On the way, dropping the boys off, and on the way back, the rotation was Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday, and I think the Ben, I forgot his last name, but the quintet. That was all I was playing today.
Yeah, man.
I think
Coltrane and stuff.
spring for me.
Spring?
Spring.
Spring is a good
Because
one.
spring, I think for me, everything wakes up, everything blossoms, everything is alive in the spring.
Mine is the fall. I just love the turning of the trees. I love when things start to transition.
Yeah. You got a question for Recon Wagyu? I see you just walked up in this bitch. Fashionably late as usual. Anyone else have a question for
Prelude
Recon?
in C sharp, huh? Steve's asking, you've never heard of Sergei
Rachmaninoff.
Yeah.
We'll have to Google him and find out who this person is.
Yeah, I know he's a Russian composer. I have a question for Recon. Is there an instrument that you always wanted to learn but never had a chance to? Not since, not like your loop station, or like an actual, like a guitar or a piano, like in that sense of an instrument.
Would you accept theremin as an answer to that?
Yes.
Yes.
That's theremin is the one that I'm always like, oh, I want to play with that. I don't even know what.
Talk to Cornish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
one. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw you did a video not too long ago.
Stylophone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Crazy Rabbit has a question. He says, if your 505 quit working and there was no more, what would your backup be?
Yeah. I would probably not do looping anymore at that point. Or I would look into some other looper, but I don't think, I think there's maybe like one other real looper beside just like small loopers that don't have a lot of features.
Yeah. Luke has a question, Sense Seeker. And a few of us who are in the chat were on this stream, so we know what he's talking about.
And Risky.
And Risky was there.
Yep, because Risky called us to make sure.
No, I called everybody.
Risky.
I saw him go down.
No. Risky was on the chat.
Oh, yeah, he was
called
there.
us to make sure,
Yeah.
hey, is anybody, So Sense Seeker is asking, question for Recon. You had a dizzy spell a few months ago on stream. Did it turn out to be nothing? And are you okay now?
Yeah, the answer is yes. It was nothing. I have chronic pain issues, and so that same problem persists, but that level of intensity was, only happened that one. I think there was another stream where I also had issues like that, but I didn't actually have to sit down and turn off the stream.
Right.
But I have issues like, I think that night was issues that I have in my left shoulder up here. It's like a shoulder, it comes out of my spine, this whole area here, and it just is. It's overwhelmingly painful to the point that I get nausea and all that. So that's all that was on that one stream that you recall, is that I got to the point of weakness and nausea.
Yes.
But it was not some kind of bigger issue than that.
So it's just chronic pain that's throughout, or is it like localized?
The chronic pains I have are specific areas, localized to specific areas.
Gotcha. And was that caused from an injury?
This one, it's hard to say, because I did a number of years of martial arts, and I definitely busted up my body in a number of ways, including through my back and neck. So the answer is probably exacerbated by some, let's say, like ongoing minor trauma that has accumulated. That's probably the case, although it'll be difficult to determine
so
that for sure.
You did martial arts before?
Yeah.
What form of the art did you do?
The martial art I did the longest was Aikido.
Okay.
And outside of that, I did a form of jujitsu that's not Brazilian jujitsu, but Japanese jujitsu. I've also done a number of years of just like some guys I work with that we all do different styles. Let's just go beat each other up for 2 or 3 hours, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which that's where jiu-jitsu came from, was the Japanese culture.
Yeah, I hear that. My back is
trashed
no
over
fun.
Wagyu's question.
Wait,
too.
hold on. Recon or Luke said, Recon, Marilyn, and me are all in the bad back nerve club.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Gabapentin buddies and shit.
Gabba buddies.
Oh, Angie falls into that too. Didn't she have some pins? She got pins in her lower back.
Yeah. Yep.
Wagyu, I'm gonna stop telling you to come up with fucking questions.
But I like it.
You be on some weird shit.
Chrome asked you, Recon, shaken or stirred? That was his question.
He always asks that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Is that a real question, shaken or stirred?
Yeah, shaken or stirred.
I mean, I guess shaken? I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, Google. Would you rather have a triceratops horn on your head that couldn't be removed, or have your undominant hand replaced by a lobster claw?
Wow. That reminds me of the mayonnaise question. Jeez.
Fucking Google.
If I had to choose between those two, I guess I would go with the triceratops horn.
Right?
I'm going with the
What do I use,
fucking
my
crab
hand?
claw. I can hide that. And/or if I get hungry, I'm gonna eat that bitch with some butter.
Yeah.
Now, I brought up the mayonnaise question. Can I ask someone the mayonnaise question?
Yeah.
All right, who? It's got to be one person. We got to have one person. Who's going to answer this?
Pick somebody.
You pick somebody.
All right.
Ask Simon Great Bitch or
Well, no, let-
It's got to be one of you who's on the
sorry,
stream.
Sorry. I
Let-
got excited. I'm sorry.
Let Recon pick who.
Okay.
Let's go with Lamar.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, here it is. Here's the mayonnaise question. This is a question that in my training that I do, that we sometimes ask people because it's a way to get people to engage. Here's the mayonnaise question. Would you accept the following trade? You get to have $5 million, just like lump sum, here it is. Or if you wanted, you could have it distributed, every month or something. But you get $5 million at the cost or at the expense at the trade-off that every single time for the rest of your life, every time you lose consciousness, you doze off, you go to sleep, you take a nap, you're on the plane, whatever it is, you lose consciousness even briefly, there is a 5% chance that when you wake up, you will be absolutely covered head to toe in mayonnaise. That's the question. Would you accept the $5 million if there's this 5% chance, home, otherwise, wearing clothes, not wearing clothes? You got a 5% chance of being totally covered in mayonnaise. Would you take the $5 million?
Okay, and this can happen at any given time, multiple times throughout the duration of my life.
It's every single time you lose consciousness. There's a
every single time I lose consciousness.
So that means sleep.
Yep. Sleep or otherwise.
I'm waking up.
So that's every day.
Hold on now. I'm waking up from a nap. And I'm waking up from sleep.
What the hell kind of question is this?
Uncle Jerry, what kind of question is this? It's one that works when you're leading classes of people who don't want to talk to you.
There you go.
That's what kind of question it is.
Oh, wait. Chrome asked a really good potent question. Is the mayo still fresh?
Yes. You can assume that it is like high quality mayonnaise.
Top of the line.
With.
Okay, well, there you go.
And it's just on my person. It's just
every
on me.
time you,
It's just you, physically your body.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good question, Recon. I like that.
So I'm going to tell you right now, and it can happen anywhere. That's fine. I'm good with that. I'm going to say yes.
All right.
And I say yes because with the money.
Tone Smith said, "Is mayo good for the skin?"
I think so. The oils,
you motherfucker. Huh?
I'm going to say with the money that I'm getting, I'm going to have one of the most elaborate fucking showers.
George G said, "Lather me
Yeah.
up naked."
Yeah.
And I will get that done.
You got to shower every day anyway. So.
I will get that done. Hands down, I thought about it clearly if I wanted to deal with the hassle of it. If I wanted to wake up and have to go, God damn it, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Then I thought about it. I'm actually getting paid to go shower and get it off of me. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't sleep that much any fucking way.
But if you travel, you got to make sure you stay awake.
When I travel, I kind of do stay awake, right? When I'm on planes, I can't sleep.
So now he's avoiding sleep.
Right?
So now I'm
and
just
at
like,
night, I don't sleep anyways. We're always up.
Yeah.
So it's beneficial for me. I mean, when I do sleep,
I'll fake like I'm asleep and catch the motherfucker that's
who's lathering you up. Yeah.
I think Recon needs to change that question, and instead of mayo, change it with Marmite.
Oh shit!
I still do it with Marmite.
Good thing Scott's not around right now.
Scotty's lurking.
I do it with Marmite because it's great in vitamin B, and my body will absorb B12.
Yeah.
Fuck it. It helps my nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question for Recon. Have you tried Marmite?
I have had Vegemite, but I don't know if I may have had Marmite. I lived in Australia for a while.
Okay.
So,
do you remember liking it or not? Do you remember liking it or not?
Vegemite, I remember saying like, wow, I see why this is a big meme and people always make a big deal about it. And also I can see how you might get accustomed to this.
Recon, you never told us you lived in Australia. What took
we
you
never
there?
answered.
Well,
we never asked.
that was that's like a pertinent thing of growing up, isn't it? Like what fucking took you there?
Okay, what places have you lived in?
Altogether or in Australia?
No, like different locations, not like how long you lived in Australia. Like how like what are the different places you lived in, like state-wise, country-wise?
Around the world.
Yeah, around the world.
Yeah, I've only lived in the United States and Australia. So as I said earlier, I lived in Connecticut and New York. That was where I was originally born and lived the first 20-something years of my life. And now I'm here in the Midwest for 20 years. I was in Australia for only a couple of months, so it may be a little misleading. I don't mean to say like 5 years or something. It was about 3 or 4 months that I lived in Sydney in Australia.
Was it a culture shock?
No, it was a culture awesomeness. It was great. I loved like every day I was there. It was awesome, and it was, if anything, it was a culture shock because I flew back into LA.
Coming back.
Oh,
yeah.
People in LA are like,
yeah. Was it for work? Was it work related? No. Oh,
no. I lived in Australia because all through, I guess, high school and younger, I used to have an ongoing joke that I was like, all right, when I conquer the world, Australia's mine, and that's it. We're not. And when I was going through college, I realized, I was like, listen, if I don't go visit Australia now, I'm probably never going to do it.
Gotcha.
I had enough foresight to do that. So at the end of college, I participated in this program, which may or may not still exist, but it was called BUNAC, BUNAC. and it was a program for helping recent graduates, whether that's undergraduate or graduate or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But they help you by setting you up with a temporary visa for a few months to go live in, various places. And Sydney was one of the places that they supported. And I was like, yes. So I did their thing. They set me up with a work visa. I was able to go down there and just do a bunch of temp jobs every day while I go explore some, mountain range or whatever. And that was it.
Is if there's any place in the world that you can live, what place would that be?
I mean, Sydney would be on the table, although I don't think I'd actually live there. I visited Berlin, and Berlin met my qualifications, I guess, for a possible place to live. I'd have to go visit there more. Maybe, honestly, I'd be happy with some place in the United States that's maybe a little warmer than where I live now. So something that's like maybe not all the way south, because I don't want the 200 degrees humid.
Yeah.
But like maybe like the vertical north to south medium, middle of the United States, somewhere in there.
Yeah. When we were interviewing Panda, he let us know an interesting portion of his life that trains were a huge hobby for him outside of music.
Yeah.
Right?
That was very interesting.
Yeah. And then he sent pictures on Discord and stuff, which I thought it was really cool. Crazy Rabbit has a question. Do you have any hobbies besides music?
Well, I don't know if you'd call it a hobby, but I'm really into comics. I like comic books. I like comic book culture. And I got a big, huge stack of comics over there that I haven't read yet that I really should start digging into.
Oh, nice.
And I'm really into the movies and all that. But go ahead, what's that?
My first comic book was Lobo.
Oh man, Lobo's dope. We're gonna get Jason Momoa as a Lobo in the new DC movies.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, but that's interesting. Comics and
yeah, very cool.
Are you the person that still has DVDs and tape cassettes?
I think technically the answer is yes. I do still have DVDs, but they're in some box somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, where would you find a DVD? Well, I guess like if you had like
They
a
have
console,
DVD,
a PlayStation or Xbox, don't they play like
they play DVDs,
regular?
CDs.
Yeah. But if you didn't have that, like, how would you play your DVD?
You have to go find a DVD player. They still
you have to like look really, really closely at the disc.
Shit, can you even find a?
That's what I'm saying. A DVD player, like
tape set.
You actually can. People are that's coming back. I know. There's one guy, maybe this is worth a shout out. There's this guy from Austin named Ben Buck. He's a beatbox guy. He's really dope. He's probably the single most successful artist who I got to play some shows with him when he was a nobody, and he has become real, very big successful. So his name's Ben Buck. But I bring him up because he is releasing cassettes, and it's like a thing that some artists are doing now. So actually getting a cassette player that would not be too difficult.
God, I might want to think about that. Yeah. Burning the album on a cassette player.
Hey, don't forget, Recon, if you ever go to Berlin, River X, Tracker Jack, those are some of your Saurians that live out there.
Tracker's from Berlin? I didn't know that.
Well, he's in Germany. I don't know if he's
Germany.
from... Yeah, but he's in Germany, and so is River X.
Yeah, Tracker Blacklegs from the waist down.
George G's made a comment, and I don't know why instantly in my head I said even wives, but he said, hell yeah, you can find anything for cheap.
Yeah, see, Georgie be out there thrift shopping. He's a thrifty motherfucker.
Welcome in, Azio. Asio.
That's crazy.
I saw Half God said, did I see any of the world's most venomous snakes? The answer is maybe, but I did make a practice on at least a few days of going out into the woods. There's enough to go hiking out there. Going into the woods and just like sitting down in the woods off the path and just sit still and let all sorts of bugs and things crawl all over me. That was a discipline I did for a little while, and I did that in Sydney as well. So I may have had very venomous things crawling all over me.
What about that spider that hides in the toilet that wants to eat your ass?
Oh, yeah, that big spider.
That's a good one, yeah.
Oh, oh my God, what is it called?
Is Tracker Jack in Switzerland now? Wagyu? I thought he was still in Germany.
I don't know. Crazy Rabbit has another question. that triggered a question for me as well. So after you answer this one, I will ask mine. Do you have any pet peeves?
Yes, I have a
Ooh.
lot of pet peeves. I
Oh
am,
shit!
I am
Damn,
somewhat
Rabbit, you
irritable.
hit some shit here.
top three. Give
Top
us your
three?
top three. Yes.
Well, one of them is just like unnecessary mouth noises, whether that's eating or otherwise.
Oh my god. Yeah.
that-
our
that drives me
dog
crazy.
does unnecessary mouth. Oh, I can't stand it. Like that, you mean? Like what he's doing right now?
Our
Stop
brother, our
Stop it.
older brother does that shit.
Okay.
He could smack on peanut butter and make it sound like it's
Oh,
wet.
jeez. Okay, unnecessary
hold on.
mouth.
He ain't
has
done. Go ahead. Oh, okay.
unnecessary mouth noises. What are the other two top three?
Oh man, maybe like people insisting that their worldview and their little cultural experience is universal reality, and then giving me a lot of negative energy when they discover that I'm not part of their
Yeah.
expectations.
Mm.
Opinions are fact syndrome. Okay, and your third one?
Maybe the second one again, because I feel that so much.
He's like, I really just don't like this one. Do you have any pets?
I do not have pets. No.
No.
What's your masturbation ritual like?
What?
What does that
Lamar.
look like for you? Mine is
Don't
kind of
Dive into that in a lot of detail. That's something
Yeah.
that we should all.
No.
Mine is kind of all over the place. There's really no rhyme or reason, no set schedule. It's just, I
That's-
guess, when you're in the mood, you're in the mood.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't know how you
Yeah.
feel about
Ozzy had said, "Synths are pets." He ain't lying about that.
synths or pets.
How are you coming along with your Hydra, and where are you getting like the learning aspect of it? Are you just like deep diving into it, or are you like going online and looking for tutorials and stuff?
Yeah. So since I've only had the Hydra synth for just under 2 weeks, I'm mostly just poking around and playing with things. I have this key here of the different major scales. So this is a learning moment for me. So I'm just like, okay, let's do I don't know, friggin' B flat. Here you go. What's this? Oh, it's that. Oh. So I'm just
Yeah.
like learning the scales. I have also saved a bunch of YouTube videos for Hydrosynth tutorials, but I haven't watched those yet. I'm still in just like, whoa, there's this button. I'm still in that mode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The fun honeymoon stage where you can like push things, and if things get angry, you can always reset, and you know there's no circumstance or consequence for it.
Yeah.
That's called the honeymoon stage.
Final and last question. When you go live on your YouTube channel, because we're coming down to the last 10 minutes, and then Get Jervis is coming. Hey, Jervis. Hey, Jervis. Pick me up. Put my anus on your keyboard, Jervis.
Stop. Okay, ask the question.
Okay.
God damn it.
When you go live on your channel, what's your expectations, and is there anything that disappoints you when you're live on YouTube?
Expectations are just like, I'm gonna get through this hour or two without, having chronic pains that make me stop the stream.
Yeah.
That was scary
About
when you
it.
fainted,
That
man.
was scary.
When you went down, I was like, oh
I
shit.
think everybody was concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Recon, we were concerned because I like immediately
Was
emailed.
like, yo,
I
bro,
was
you
like,
okay?
No.
Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate your concern. That was I received that very well.
Yeah.
So I really don't have many expectations. I'm just getting live to play around, and I would like for people to come and hang out too, but I don't have expectations around that. Certainly, like, if anybody here who is a regular on my lives, if you're ever not able to show up one day, that's fine. Like,
But if you
don't
miss
expect
2
you to
or
be there.
3, that's your ass.
Yeah. Yeah, like Rabbit said, in the year 4026
250.
Oh, I haven't done that for a few streams. The last couple streams I didn't do that. Oh,
future self. I know Reconsider It Music Sketchpad isn't for everyone, but I'm just going to speak the truth here. When I just see 5 or 6 people watching, and this is for me, and I don't mean to I don't mean this in any weird way, Recon, but I get a little sad and I get a little disappointed that as long as you've been doing it, your viewers haven't had, or
The world.
there's something being missed here.
Right.
And I just want the best for everyone who's creating content. And I can't help but sometimes to take things a little bit personal.
It's because YouTube algorithm is shite.
It's shit. And, none of us are famous. None of us have an extreme following, right? But it doesn't help the fact that I want to see more from a lot of the Saurian community. It affects me in so many ways. We've gotten help from Synth Seeker. We've gotten help from Hardware Jams. There's people from the pub that come see us. And, it's a blessing in many ways to have people watch your content. And then in so many ways, it can affect a person's mental when you go live and you want to express your art and there's one person watching.
Right. But
and that one person, it just may be your phone that's on.
Right.
Or there's two people watching.
But like you said, it's not for everybody.
It's not for everyone. And Scott Sounds said it the best. Don't worry about the numbers. Let your channel grow organically. And I would like to say the same for you. No matter what, we'll be there watching your content. We may miss a day here and there, but I think we're pretty adamant on helping you get your viewership, and your content means a lot to us, and your art means a lot to us.
And we watch it because we love it, right?
We watch it because we love it. We're not there because we're just like, let's just go do this for the sake of just being there.
Yeah.
We love what you do. Most of the times we're in the house cleaning up.
I was just going to say,
I was working out.
In the bathroom or doing something.
I was working out the last time Recon came out. I think in true Reconsiderate Sketchpad, we need to take these last 5 minutes, and Recon, I think you need to end us out.
Oh, what a freestyle.
I mean,
or 505, whatever.
No. I was thinking his cheers.
Oh, but get a beat going like how I normally do in the background.
You got 5 minutes.
You have 5 minutes up here.
Yeah.
Oh, do it.
Go ahead.
And then take your time and do your cheers like how you would do on your live. And that's how we're going to end our live.
All right. I will press play here. We're going to get a beat. Oh, wow. Look at that. It came in already.
Well, that wasn't planned.
He wasn't kidding. He really has that beat ready to go. Yeah, that's true. Friends, we are going to do this right now. We're going to do this. It's going to be so good. Grab a drink, whatever you might have. You might have some water. I got some water. You might have something else. I don't know what you have. Whatever it is that you have, my friends, grab a drink right now because we are going to do this cheers on the count of 3. You are going to feel really connected with everyone else. It's coming real fast, and it goes like this, starting on 1. Cheers is coming real fast. Get yourself ready. Get your cheers cup because it's coming real fast on 2. And I got to get out of my chair to reach the camera because I'm going to clink the camera. And it's going to be so good on 3.
Clink, clink.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Shout out to Systems of Reality. Thank you for having me today. We're going to have a really good day the rest of the day today.
Yeah, we are.
Thank you for coming on, Recon.
Yeah, we are.
And there's going to be a part 2. So
yeah, it's got to be a part 2.
Yeah. Everybody who's come on has to have a part 2. So
yeah. Okay, everybody. Check out Synth Seeker. He had a show earlier at 2. If you missed it and you were here, check out Get Jervis.
Get Jervis is coming
He's coming on right after us. Cornish may be trying to put together a live here.
Well, Cornish
for the first time
is going to get a different phone where it's going to allow him to come on and do an interview like Recon did and do more stuff. And so he has 2 daughters that can help him with that. And I said, Cornish, that would be just
Hell
amazing.
yeah. Oh, I can't wait to have that interview.
Check out Uncle Jerry's World, Apollo Hanzo, Half God, Half Beast, a.k.a. Bicky, a.k.a. Leon, a.k.a. the Seagull, a victim,
a.k.a. Biscuit Moon.
Hopefully he's going to have some content coming up here shortly.
Yeah.
I know he's been working
diligently.
There you go.
You're welcome. And I'm the foreigner.
Trying to secure his studio as long as he can stop playing musical chairs. Check out the Wagyu. Wagyu is a weird son of a bitch.
Weird science.
Maybe you don't want to check out Wagyu.
No, check out Wagyu.
Check him out.
Yeah,
Check
Apollo
him out.
Hanzo with his beers on his sense.
George G's is trying to get his shit together. Studio 8 Effects. Steve Sonis. Uncle Chrome. Oh, shit. Uncle Chrome dropped some murderous shit Saturday.
Yes, you guys
if y'all don't know about it, go
watch it.
I ain't even gonna spoil a
Just
surprise.
gotta go watch it.
I downloaded mine for the flight.
But it's right in the middle.
Good. Yeah,
it's right in the middle that
you'll
really
love it.
touched me. But there's a lot of things that Chrome does that's just fucking out of this world.
Before we leave, Recon, what is your live stream schedule?
Live stream schedule is Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern U.S. and Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern U.S. Do an hour of loops, but then I also do random other streams here and there that are not on a schedule.
Right. So if you subscribe to Recon, make sure you click that notification bell so that you know when he is. And we'll probably see you there because we try to get on there every time.
Check out the Crazy Rabbits channel. It's a
Thanks, Rabbit. I will be safe.
It's Rabbit's channel. That's all I'm gonna say about that. If you don't know Kent Spong, check out the Pubness. Check out PSN. It's where you can find Phil, Muzo, Robbie.
Check out Steve Sonis.
If we're missing anyone, let us know right now. Check out Tracker Blacklegs from the waist down, everybody.
Everybody.
I don't know what he's even doing anymore.
Everybody.
Check out Cornish Music. You all know who to check out. Check out the Synth Samurai. Check out Echo Craft. The Machines Won Hans Vote.
Okay, and next Sunday, our interview was going to be with Apollo Hanzo, but he really wants Lamar to be here for that interview. So Studio 8 Effects has agreed to come on this coming up Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
Barring his... I think it's his passport or something's got to go.
A work visa.
Oh,
or
I forgot
whatever.
about Synchrotron. I forgot about Andy. Don't forget about Andy.
Which I saw him Saturday. I caught 40 minutes.
And we went
of it.
back and watched all of his stuff.
Yeah. After Recon's actual live. I was like, this would be a perfect way to just,
Andy likes
calm
to
down
steal
from the
your
workouts.
dreams.
Yep, he's a soul taker.
He's a beautiful
sure.
gnome who likes to roam.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy, for all what you do.
Once again, thank you so much, Recon.
You are the man.
It was amazing. And we are going to, do you have anything else you want to say, Recon?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Recon, you're so fucking awkward.
No, he's
and humble.
not.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, maybe
I'm
he
telling
is.
him
Maybe
the
that's what we love about
This is
him.
why you don't have a girlfriend, Recon, because no one tells you the truth.
Get over there. Get your asses over to Jervis. Jervis is waiting for you. Tom and Jackson is waiting for you. Go look at some cat ass.
We are going to close out this S.O.R live podcast with one of my favorite jams. And we're going to do it because I can. It's my birthday jam.
Yeah. Eat my ass, Jervis.
Matter of fact, make sure they all look at it.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Recon.
We'll see you.
Thank
Peace.
you.
Yo, it's a birthday jam. We coming through and doing it with a first-rate plan. From Maryland, who deserves a hand. Made it to 48, it was worth the wait, fam. The voice off the camera, bringing that boss energy to soar with mad love. Singing along with the brothers on the pair up. Giving you pause if you got the cause to act up. And we're celebrating that. Tell them in the chat, everyone a melody and rap. Look at what I put together because Maryland had asked. If you haven't written something, then you better get it fast. And the crew will rock those on the live stream where we prove we're not foes, as we choose to produce the hot flows for her cumpleaños. Yo, it's a birthday jam. We're coming through and doing it with a first-rate plan. From Maryland, who deserves a hand. Made it to 48, it was worth the wait, fam. The voice off the camera, bringing that boss energy to soar with mad love. Singing along with the brothers on the pair up. Giving you pause if you got a cause to act up. And we're celebrating that. Tell them in the chat, everyone a melody and rap. Look at what I put together because Maryland had asked. If you haven't written something, then you better get it fast. And the crew will rock those on the live stream where we prove we're not foes, as we choose to produce the hot flows for her cumpleaños.
Bye, everybody.